bed, brightens your every mood when you get as old as I am. What do I like about Mzansi or love? It's home. Beyond football, I enjoy cricket, or Andile, Gasthosa, go Ace Mabega, My favorite nickname of all time, like Captain Yama 2000. In everything we do, just like the African continent is the beginnings of life, right? Just like women are the beginnings of life. The SABC and SABC Sport is exactly that.
Catch Andile, Captain Yama 2000, Ngube on match days, live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
So you thought you were building a business? In this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival invites you to 3 unforgettable days deep in the heart of art of jazz. From the 26th to the 28th of September, across 4 enchanting stages at the Stanton Convention Centre, you'll be mesmerised by world-renowned stars like Esperanza Spalding, the Hakan Bazaar Trio, Jasmine Horn, Elaine, Amanda Black, Gabby Motobo, and 50 other world-class acts. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
What are we doing? Weather now. Let's have a quick look at what the weather is in store for you today. There is a fire danger warning of extremely high fire danger conditions expected over the western parts of the Free State in the northwest, central and eastern parts of the Northern Cape, the Enoch Ngijima and the Ntsaka Yetu local municipalities of the Eastern Cape, as well as the extreme northeastern interior of the Western Cape. Pretoria, Johannesburg and Vereeniging today going to be fine, become partly cloudy this afternoon. Capital 15 to 28, Johannesburg 13 to 27, Vereeniging 12 to 27. And Mbombela will be fine but become partly cloudy, 14 to 27. Polokwane is going to be fine, 14-27. Mahikeng, Vryburg is going to be partly cloudy and windy. Mahikeng 18 to 28, Vryburg 18 to 31. Bloemfontein is partly cloudy and windy, some isolated showers and thunder showers, 14 to 30. Kimberley, partly cloudy and windy, 15 to 32. Uppington is fine and windy, 13 to 33. Cape Town, some cloud around, some morning fog. It's light and variable wind, 12 to 21. George is partly cloudy with a light and variable wind, 11 to 22. Gqeberha, fine, some cloud around this evening, a light southwesterly wind at first, but light and variable this evening, 15 to 22. East London's fine, cloudy this evening, a light southwesterly wind, but southerly in the late morning, light and variable in the evening, 16 to 24. Durban's partly cloudy, isolated showers and thunder showers with a moderate northeasterly wind. It'll reach fresh this afternoon, 19 to 28. Richards Bay's partly cloudy, a moderate northerly to northeasterly wind, 18 to 33. And Pietermaritzburg's partly cloudy to cloudy, isolated showers and thunder showers from a low of 16 to a high of 32.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Let's talk to one of our producers. Get the morning brief in brief. Melissa Buta, good morning to you. It's a horrific story coming out of correctional services.
Good morning, John. The Department of Correctional Services is under intense scrutiny after revealing that 422 of its 1,718 inmate deaths in the first quarter of 2025 and 2026 remain unconfirmed or under investigation. Parliament was briefed on the shocking reports detailing systemic abuse, cover-ups and overcrowding at Mangaung, Goodwood and Oudtshoorn Correctional Services. Torture-related deaths, suicides and staff shortages were cited as major concerns. The Mangaung case exposed the fatal torture of inmates Mpho Mkhumbeni and attempts to conceal it by G4S management. Parliament called for urgent accountability, transparency and action on ending the G4S contract, while correctional services cited severe budget and staffing constraints. So this is quite a sad story
Sure.
coming out.
It's terrible. Lots and lots of people. What's happening with National Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia?
Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia has failed in his legal bid to return to work after being placed on leave by National Police Commissioner Fani Masemula amid a corruption investigation. The Gauteng High Court dismissed Sibia's application to overturn the decision, ruling that it involves a standard disciplinary matter, not a constitutional issue. The court also criticized Sibia's claim of a parallel investigation as unfounded. His removal followed serious allegations by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, which Sibia has denied. A decision on possible suspension will follow the ongoing investigation, so we will follow that quite closely.
We're going to be talking to the South African Human Rights Council just before 8 o'clock today, but you've also got a story about the Human Rights Council finding for the miners in Stilfontein. When was that? A couple of years ago now.
Yes, so the South African Human Rights Commission has found that the government violated the human rights of miners in Stilfontein during a crackdown on illegal mining. The 2023 operation left hundreds of miners trapped underground without food or water, leading to at least 78 deaths. Over 1,000 miners eventually resurfaced due to hunger and health concerns. While the miners may have been acting unlawfully, the SAHRC stated that denying them basic necessities breached their human rights. The findings were part of a broader report on major rights violations, which will be submitted to Cabinet for action.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. That's your morning briefing brief.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend the upcoming BRICS Leaders Virtual Summit. It's going to be convened by Brazil's President, Luiz Ignacio Lula da Silva. He'll deliver a significant speech, will the Chinese President, set for September the 8th. A couple of days ago, bring together top leaders from major emerging economies amid rising global tensions over trade and geopolitics. Let's find out a little bit more what's been planned and what's happening there with our guest this morning. Itumeleng Makgetla is a political analyst at the University of Pretoria. Itumeleng, good morning to you. What do you see coming out of this BRICS summit?
Good morning, Mr. Gericke. Trust that you're well, and greetings to the listeners as well. Look, this upcoming BRICS summit will definitely encompass all the issues that are plaguing the BRICS collaboration, and particularly with regards to the Donald Trump tariffs that are being imposed in many countries that are actually proving to be quite a headache amongst many states.
What do we read into the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi not going? He's sending his foreign minister.
On this one, I have picked up and realized that it's becoming quite a controversial issue. However, I do not think it is unnecessarily a catastrophic issue, because heads of states cannot always be at every sitting, at every meeting, and all that. You know, they have got so much to do that they can delegate, and it is not unheard of that head of state will send a senior minister, just like now Narendra Modi has now sent his foreign minister Jai Shankar to be part of the talks instead of himself. This is not unheard of, and it's a common thing. So I think one can read whatever they want to read on it, but it's not as if there is something untoward here. In fact, if there is anything about Modi, I think he's he's a leader that is on the button. I mean, if you look at what his reaction to BRICS, when Britain untangled itself from the European Union, he was one of the first to negotiate a deal for Indian students to be there, and he got a good deal out of that. Same also can be said with the US now, when the tariffs were being spoken about. And he got a good deal out of it with the U.S. government. So I do not think there is anything that we can read out of it, apart from also just a matter of self-interest, not being in the ira.
Let's talk about Trump's trade policy that you touched on there. Trump has criticized BRICS for trying to trade in other currencies, not the US dollar. There's also the tariffs that have been thrown on BRICS countries. I'm imagining that'll be a large part of the discussion.
Yes, absolutely. It has been this whole issue of de-dollarization and the threats of the U.S. To really put punitive measures against anyone that threatens the dominant currency. Um, these are pertinent issues that needs to be ironed out. And of course, states and regional blocs and international blocs such as BRICS, they have every right to devise mechanisms to protect themselves and their economies. And if they feel as though the dollar, the dollar as a dominant currency is not in their interest, of course they will talk about it. There is no rule in international relations that there needs to be one particular currency that everybody must be now kowtowing or abiding to without any discussion. So I think all states, have self-interest at heart, and this is not different at all. And I think the United States is also exercising its right to fight for its own currency domination, and I think it'll be unreasonable to not expect the other states not to do so.
As the US becomes more isolated because of its policies, how's that going to change BRICS? And are there more nations wanting to get involved in this community of states?
Yes, I think right now, the fact that we are living in such a volatile international system because of this the tenure of Mr. Trump. Obviously, there are disturbances. However, for how long? We do not know for how long, because can Mr. Trump maybe secure a term after this? Probably not. The Constitution probably would not allow that. He will then have to amend it. But then even before that, will he even get past the midterms? We do not know. We do not have a crystal ball. So the states, in as much as also they trying to rearrange themselves and try to dodge here the bullet from the tariff here and all that. Yeah. It's all that, but it's all temporary at the moment. So even when one has to think on a long-term basis, you can only see as far as you can, and you can only just know what you do know. So I think in as much as we are really just like jostling for a place here and trying not to be on the R of the Trump tariffs, but it's 2 years time from now, 4 years time from now, we could be living in a completely different world.
Just quickly wrap it up, Itumeleng. Where does South Africa fit in all of this?
South Africa is one of those countries that really punch above their weight. The size of our economy, the size of our population, the state that our country is in. It's a controversial matter that we even have the guts to take Israel, for instance, to the ICJ. But we did, and we now need to suffer the consequences of what our government has taken as a key international relations policy. And South Africa is in smack in the middle of let's say China and the US, BRICS, the global South, and all that, and with a big voice. Whether it can actually enforce its position, it's a whole thing. It's another thing altogether. So South Africa does definitely have soft power, but what are the ramifications for the noise that it's making? It's a very debatable matter.
Itumeleng Makgetla, thank you very much. Political analyst at the University of Pretoria.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation. This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you. We'll kick it off with the Nigeria coach, Eric Shell, says he has no complaints about his side's 1-1 draw with South Africa in Bloemfontein. An own goal from captain William Truce Ikong gifted Bafana the lead, but Calvin Bassey struck back on the stroke of half-time with the Super Eagles still 6 points behind South Africa in Group C. Shell concedes their qualification hopes hinge on other results, including Bafana dropping points against Zimbabwe and Rwanda.
So we are professional. So it's the 2 games, and for sure, this player want to win these 2 games. For now, actually at this moment it's difficult for us because we wanted to win, and I think we did everything. So in 1 month we have the 2 last game. A lot of things can happen in 1 month, and for sure, a lot of things about the point, about the team, about everything. So just we need to analyze this game once again, and after that we will see after the 2 last game.
That's the Nigeria coach Eric Shell on the morning brief. In the meantime, Benny McCarthy's Kenya, they delivered a statement performance in Nairobi, dismantling Seychelles 5-0 to record their biggest win of the World Cup qualifying campaign. The result lifts the Harambee Stars to 9 points from 8 matches, still trailing Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon, but narrowing the gap to Burundi with 2 fixtures to play. Elsewhere, Cape Verde took a giant stride towards a historic World Cup debut, stunning Cameroon 1-0. And they'll have 2 games to play, with looking forward to sitting 4 points clear at the top, while Cameroon must regroup to secure second with Libya. They are lurking in the chase. In the meantime, Egypt marched to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, their march hitting a speed bump in Ouagadougou as the Pharaohs were held to a goalless draw by a resolute Burkina Faso. And finally, cricket. The Proteas T20 captain Aidan Markram has credited the SA20 for giving a wide range of players an opportunity to express their skill, therefore widening the pool for the national selectors.
I think the depth is good. I think the SA20's done heaps for that as well, and naturally through that, guys are getting more opportunities worldwide in different leagues as well. So it's definitely helping grow that sort of depth for T20 cricket. You see younger guys coming through, no longer fussed about the stage and the opposition, because they've come up against these guys before somewhere around the world. So feels like the depth has been good. The options that are sort of knocking on doors are some really exciting options for us, and again, it's about us giving them fair opportunities and seeing again how best we can formulate a squad and a plan going to that World Cup.
And finally, cycling. France's Egan Bernal won stage 16 of the Vuelta a España that had to be shortened by 8 kilometers due to pro-Palestinian protests. Protests aimed at the Israel Premier Tech team have disrupted several stages of this year's race, including stage 11, which was shortened without a winner last week. And that's a wrap. We'll cycle back to the podium with more sport. Top of the hour, I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Post Bank is unable to function as a fully fledged banking entity until it receives a formal banking license. Ramaphosa revealed this in Parliament during his oral reply to questions by lawmakers. The 16-hour hostage situation in Mamelodi east of Pretoria ended in devastation following unsuccessful attempts by the police hostage negotiators. The police constable, who allegedly held 2 of his family members hostage, shot and killed himself. And the US President Donald Trump says he's unhappy about every aspect of Israel's strike in Qatar against members of Hamas. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. Looking okay across Gauteng. It's a sort of, well, it's Wednesday, so it is expected to be a busy day. And you can sort of see that, I guess, coming down through Midrand. It's pretty loaded up between Old Joburg Road and New Road already. Coming into Joburg from the south, always worth a check. It's so busy these days. The N3 from Elands up to Van Buren, that's maybe a touch heavier than normal. The Mike 1 from Boyson's queuing already, or the Mike 1 from Boyson's up to Parktown. There's also been a crash on the M2 near Risick Street, so downtown Joburg, M2 heading through towards the Crown is under a bit of pressure there as well. Looking okay between Pietermaritzburg and Durban. If that's your commute, no major problems this morning. Cape Town Baden-Powell is open, but it's slow. It's open at Khayelitsha, but then it's just slow as you get into Strandfontein Road towards Muizenberg. And a crash on the M1 inbound at Old Oak Road in Belleville. That's pushing a queue back to Okavango Road and backing traffic on the R300 North coming up to jump into that N1 inbound. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Let's get the latest news with Ntaling Lucello. Good morning to you, Ntaling. Good to chat to you again. Big news coming out of the US asking the European Union to slap on tariffs. What's happening?
Morning, John. It seems like President Trump is a little jealous about the relationship between Putin, Modi, and President Xi Jinping. And so he has requested that the European Union impose tariffs of up to 100% on China and India for their purchases of Russian oil, aiming to pressure Moscow to end the war in Ukraine. Now, this proposal comes after Trump's deadline for Russian President Putin to meet Ukraine's President Zelensky passed without any indication of interest in peace talks. The U.S. has already imposed a 50% tariff on imports from India due to its Russian oil purchases, which India considers unreasonable. Meanwhile, China, the largest buyer of Russian oil, had previously secured a deal with Washington to reduce new levies on its products to 30%, sparing it from similar tariffs. Now, Trump's request to the EU includes mirroring any tariffs imposed on China and India, potentially escalating trade tensions. The move is part of a broader strategy to apply economic pressure on nations doing business with Russia. Despite these efforts, Putin has strengthened ties with China's Xi and India's Prime Minister Modi, evident in their recent meeting at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit a few weeks ago.
And the US firms reducing investment in China, a related story?
Somewhat. We are seeing a survey by the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai revealing that nearly half of U.S. businesses have shifted planned China investments to other regions over the past year, marking the highest record since 2017. I mean, we've even seen the likes of Apple moving most of its production facilities from China, and they're moving those production facilities mostly to India. Now, this trend is largely due to those U.S.-China trade tensions. Southeast Asia and the Indian subcontinent have emerged as primary destinations for these redirected investments. And the survey highlights the challenges U.S. companies face in China, including increased domestic competition and a record low 5-year business outlook. Despite these challenges, the survey indicates improvement in China's regulatory environment, with 48% of respondents finding it transparent. Beijing has made efforts to attract foreign investment, releasing an action plan to ease investments, particularly in biotechnology, and clarify government procurement standards.
And you're going to give us the markets, and you're going to tell me I should have bought gold a few years ago.
You know what? You can get into a gold counter, one of the gold miners on the JSE, and you can get a nice dividend, eh? So starting in the US, stocks closing in the green, with all three major indexes closing at record highs as investors moved past concerns about the state of the US economy. The Dow Jones leading the gains there, up 0.4%, and that upbeat momentum was also seen in local markets, with the all share gaining 0.4%, boosted by a 0.8% jump in the industrials. The rand also trading stronger at 17.51 to the dollar this hour, following upbeat growth figures, with the local economy expanding in the second quarter. Then over in the commodities scene, oil stable, trading just above $66 per barrel. Lastly, in Asia, markets trending higher as hopes for a rate cut by the Fed continue to rise. Traders on that front also assessing August inflation data from China.
Have you got the gold price in front of you?
It's just above $3,000.
3,600 or something, isn't it? We'll
Yes.
get the numbers next time, just because it makes me feel bad. Ntawoleng Lechela, thank you very much. Africa updates coming up in just a moment. That gold price is breaking records, so we'll talk about that with Ntawoleng Lechela. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, always. Let's do our Africa update today. Sipho Mantula joins us good morning to you, Sipho. Sorry, I've been doing late night shows. Sipho Mantula, good morning to you. Malawi's government getting 40% on campaign promise delivery. That's horrific.
Refreshing morning, John and Jumbo Africa. John, Malawi decides in 6 days, on the 16th of September, there will be national elections in Malawi, Lilongwe. Now, there is a study, John, by one of the think tankers in Malawi entitled that report, New Faces, Same Challenges. As they were auditing and assessing the previous government performance, they looked at from 2020 June to May 2025. In their data-driven answers, John, they were tracking the 204 campaign commitments across 5 sectors: economy, governance, corruption, social services, and climate change. And when they looked, John, they were saying that there's a sobering findings that they found that government has failed, and overall the government have scored 39% on delivery. So, John, as we have said, we'll be always looking at this Malawi towards the 16th of September to update our listeners across the African continent about these elections. What is the high stakes? Who is who in this elections, John? Malawi decides.
I'm imagining opposition parties are going to jump on that 39% number.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Ivory Coast presidential race there. What has there been a change?
There's been challenges. There was a dramatic turn this week, John. 2 major opposition parties were officially barred from the next month's elections. Here we're talking about the former President Laurent Gbagbo and the former Credit Suisse CEO Tidjane Thima, who are ineligible to run in the October 25th elections, John. The court looked at their removal from the electoral roll as the exclusion from the elections. They also looked at the Ivory Coast former President Gbagbo that had a past criminal conviction. Alassane Ouattara is seeking the 4th term at the age of 53, John. So Ivory Coast, as they're going for the elections next month, John, they're having challenges in terms of who can play in these elections. There's no equal playing field for the opposition. We might face some challenges in West Africa once more.
Is there anybody left to stand elections, stand as opposition?
There are people who are standing, John. There are 5 remaining who are standing. Former First Lady Simone Gbagbo will be contesting. Former ministers Jean-Louis Billon and Don Melo and Henry Lagu. Those are the people who are standing now against against Alassane Ouattara, who's contesting, like I said, at the age of 83.
And Sudan is just more sad news coming out of Sudan.
Sad news coming from Khartoum, John. Sudan yesterday was plunged into darkness earlier yesterday after drone attacks by the paramilitary rapid support forces that triggered a major power outage across the city of Khartoum. John, the Khartoum has been the epicenter of the fighting since the tension erupted between the government forces and the RSF in April 2023. The conflict estimated it has lost almost 40,000 people, John, 12 million people displaced, with many pushed back now to the brink of famine. We have discussed Sudan in the Africa Peace and Security Dialogue, John, last year. Even this year also, we touched on the Horn of Africa. Sudan is important, even for the African Union, to put focus on it, because we can't afford to have Sudan plunging into darkness and into the grips of civil war.
And tell us about your historical archives. Love the story.
Yeah, I thought since you are coming in, this man is a sportman, John loves sports. Let me, him and Zach can take them through a journey. On the eve of Ethiopian New Year, John, tomorrow in Ethiopia is 2018. I'm looking on 1960, the 10th of September, when Ethiopian Ababe Bekila, running barefoot, became the first black African to win the gold in the history of Olympic Games. The record, he said, John, was for 2 minutes and 16 seconds, and that's where when it was explained later why he was running barefoot. He said, I wanted the world to know that my country, Ethiopia, always win with determination and heroism. This is Ababa Bekile. You remember we have said to our listeners before, we compare Ababa Bekile to Zolabad. To our listeners who are on the text, we call Zolabad. These are our runners of this Heritage Month. Asante Sana, John. SAFM still leading a conversation, observing the Heritage Month.
Sibu Mantula, thank you very much.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
What impact then has it had on your life in terms of your work as a journalist and how it's affected you practically?
Well, Emerson Mnangagwa is different from Mugabe because Mugabe tried to have a bit of sophistication. So if he wanted to come after you, he will use laws and rules that are tangible. But Emerson Mnangagwa doesn't operate like that. He can arrest you like he did to me, using a law that does not exist. And even if you've done nothing wrong, I was thrown into prison 3 times inside 6 months.
Hope will let you know, no, right? Award-winning journalist
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za. The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief.
Just about 6:45. Jon Gericke in for Tulis. Good morning to you. Let's talk about this new study that's revealed a significant portion of young South Africans are dedicating a large chunk of their income to basic living costs, mainly rent. The Zake Index, developed by Black Bullion South Africa in partnership with the Sanlam Foundation, offers critical insights into how South African youth are navigating the cost of living crisis we're living in, making difficult financial trade-offs. Taryn Alkers is a marketing manager at Wafanda. Taryn, good morning to you. Thank you very much. Rent, a major expense. It's just confirming what we already knew, it feels.
Yes, thanks so much for having me on the show, John. Look, the idea for the Zaga Index was not to try and say something new, but rather give people a resource to kind of fully understand what the lived realities of young people are. It's already telling the story of things like, people are struggling to make ends meet. They are choosing to forego certain luxuries in favor of paying rent. More young people are walking and using public transport, I should say the public transport that they have available to them, than they are using a car or ride sharing because incomes are so stretched. And you would have read that majority of the people that we surveyed are earning. And when we say earning, it could be through stipends, it could be through bursary programs, it could be through any form of income less than 6,000 Rand per month. And I mean, I know that that is not much when you have to consider you have to get around, you have to pay for rent, you have to eat, and also young people are we're aware that young people are also having fun too. So it's all about understanding what the trade-offs are with regards to the money that young people have available to them, and giving people a resource to kind of fully understand that picture.
So we understand young people 18 to 35 years old, right?
Yes, young people 18 to 35.
We can talk about electricity going up. We talk about water going up. Food is going up as well. With the limited disposable income, what decisions are young people having to make?
Well, one of the things that shocked us the most was that quite a few young people, I think over 50%, on a daily basis are choosing to skip meals. And we're not talking about maybe you forgot to have breakfast and then you just go through your day. We're talking about active decisions that today maybe I won't have dinner, maybe I won't have lunch on a regular basis. Just to make sure that they have whatever funds they need for different activities. And we're looking at things like buying data, right? That is not necessarily a luxury. That is a necessity for young people to stay connected, because many people don't have access to Wi-Fi. Although we are a very connected country, the cost of data is something that is felt by people earning very little money. But yeah, for me, definitely the thing that hit home was that there are so many young people who are choosing to skip meals on a daily basis because they need to make ends meet.
And there's a fine line between just coping and then falling into a crisis. If you suddenly need $1,000, what do they do?
Yeah, the reality is they can't do anything. Most young people that we survey say that they don't have an emergency fund, even if something as little as 500 rand. So if you do get an unexpected expense of 1,000 rand, you're left with having to use alternative means that are not very pretty. I mean, we ran a campaign recently, which is part of the Zaga Index, called Money Confessions, and you would be surprised how many people are using loan sharks to balance the books, to pay for things. And it's not even to just to be frivolous. It's loan sharks using the money to buy groceries or to pay the rent, and then you're paying exorbitant interest fees on that, and then not to mention the safety aspect of doing such a thing.
Before we look at what's going to happen with this, you mentioned mobile data. These things and transport, these things are not what people they're essential is the point the word I'm trying to find. You need to stay connected, work and all those kind of things. People work remotely and communicate with bosses and things. You need to be able to get to work. Is there interventions? Will this kind of study be able to help government make more interventions to lower the price of data and transport?
Well, it should. It may help government, but also it should help universities and the people that interact with young people on a daily basis, for them to truly understand that the struggle really is real. When people say that they don't have money, the chances are they really don't have money. And like you said, those kind of things, transport, rent, data, those are very expensive costs, right? It's not cheap to buy a gigabyte of data, let alone buy data for the rest of the month if you do need to connect it, or even to get internet connection. So the whole idea of the report was to shine a spotlight on a particular issue, something that we already know. And in South Africa, we do have this tendency where we have big problems, and because they are consistent, it almost becomes part of the background. And so we just want to say, look, these are things that are happening on an ongoing basis, and you can actually prove it. We do know it's there, and so it will give institutions, and not just government, an opportunity to say, we understand this is a problem, let's try and do something about it. And it's not that they don't know that there is a problem. So, yeah.
Taryn Elkers is marketing manager of Wafunda. We're going to stay with the economy. We're going to talk to an economist about South Africa's economy growing by just 0.8% in the second quarter of 25 in a moment.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Heads up, if you're coming out of Pretoria's Soshanguve area, there's some delays on the mighty Montpellier Highway. There's a crash at XX, that's your first problem. And then you backlog through Theo Martins down to the Bend, and then you backlog into SK and Pathlali. So it's a high-volume, busy Wednesday morning out of Soshanguve with a few issues there. Already busy on the alternative M35, Soutpan Road coming in through Onderstepoort territory as well. The N1 loaded up between Old Joburg and New Road, and then the Mike 1 Woodmead down to Marlborough Drive on your way to Sandton, looking quite slow. Crash on the N17. This is coming out of Boksburg towards Joburg, just by the Osborne Road exit. There may be some roadworks in amongst that mix as well, but it is slow. Rondebolt Road through to Osborne Road exit. Pietermaritzburg to Durban on the commute. We've now got a stationary truck. It's Cliffdale. It is westbound, so if you're going up to Pietermaritzburg, that's going to start to get a bit busy. If you're Durban bound, it's looking fine. The M7 into Pinetown quite heavy today. Traffic backlogging already from Hunstedman, moving up towards the N3 highway. And Cape Town, a lot of requests for what's happening on Baden-Powell. What's the status there? Baden-Powell is open through Khayelitsha, but it's slow as you backlog into Strandfontein Road. That's trying to get through towards the Muizenberg side. Also, crash on the M1 inbound at Old Oak Road in the Belleville area. That's very slow coming through from sort of Brighton Road from Kryfontein side. The highway really busy this morning, Kryfontein to Belleville. And behind that, the R300 queuing quite heavily from Van Riebeek Road at Kales River all the way up through Brackenfell to get in to that N1 queue. So the crash on the N1 inbound's heavy, and the R300 approach and join very heavy as well. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
9 minutes to 7. Let's have a quick look at the economy. Growing by 0.8% in the second quarter of 2025. It outperformed expectations, but it reflects a fragile recovery facing persistent structural challenges, looming trade pressures coming up as well. Iraj Abedian is an economist. Iraj, good morning to you. Do we see positivity in a 0.8%?
Good morning, John, and good morning to our listeners. It depends on where your expectations are, as you mentioned. Given that the first quarter was a miserable performance of 0.1%, 0.8 is much better, definitely much better. There are also other signs that are suggesting or signaling that the economy is in a better space. For example, if I look at all the sectors of the economy, with the exception of construction, an important one that we can come back to, and transportation, the rest of them have positive trends, growth quarter-on-quarter. The best performing was mining, especially on the side of platinum group of companies, metals, the PGMs, followed by agriculture and manufacturing. The first two are very much export oriented. As you know, our platinum or PGM group of metals are all exported just about, and agriculture likewise. So the fact that they are doing well, it suggests that Transnet is getting its act together slowly. Logistics are getting a bit easier for export market. And of course, we can't forget the fact that over the past while, we've had interest rates coming down. That definitely helps. So I think overall, the environment is better for economic activity, but from a very, very low base.
We need, 5% to be able to catch up and start creating meaningful jobs?
We need the absolute, and then we need to unpack that, John, a very important point you raised. We need 2% not to become poorer on average.
Okay,
because our population is growing at 2%.
So 2%,
for as long as we're,
2% at least, we're at 0.8%.
Yeah, and if we're 2%, we're running on the spot. We're not progressing on average. Then if we exceed 2%, we begin to get our head above the water, so to speak. And then, of course, if we get to 3.5%, 4%, 5%, then within 5 to 7 years, we turn the unemployment around, we turn the fiscal situation, which is in a stress around, and a whole lot of other developmental dimensions of economic growth begins to show.
Iraj, we haven't. This doesn't reflect the 30% US tariffs yet. What are the expectations for the next quarter?
Yeah, that's another important point. First and second quarter, we're still with that 10%. Third quarter, where we are now, is everybody is anxious to know what that means, because now 30% tariff has kicked in. Of course, it doesn't apply to, for example, platinum group of metals, but it applies to agriculture, applies to everything else that we export to the United States just about. So yes, we're very anxious to know how far the economy has managed to diversify away from the United States into other areas. What is most concerning in this regard is the performance of auto manufacturing and motor vehicle exports, which has been a very key industry targeting through AGOA, the United States market. And some of our vehicles are actually built with the steering on the American side, on the left-hand drive. So I think there's a lot of unknowns at the moment. We've also heard that a lot of industries that are related to auto manufacturing, like tire manufacturers in the Eastern Cape, closing down, and the knock-on effect. So third quarter and fourth quarter are going to be not as if you like, promising. On the other hand, interest rates are coming down or have come down. Inflation is lower, and therefore it is likely that consumer demand, domestic consumer demand, will tick up. But can it compensate for export? My answer is no. So we can't build too much expectations on that.
Jon Gericke is an economist. Thank you very much for highlighting that for us.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Let's go to Westbury now. If you're travelling in from the west of Johannesburg coming into town, you might experience some protests happening in Westbury. There have been water issues in that suburb. Let's talk to Westbury community leader Jefferson Alistair. Jefferson, good morning to you. What's happening in your suburb today?
Well, man, thank you for having me on the show this morning. But we've been having protests for the past few weeks.
Yes.
And you know what we've come to notice is the minute there's a protest, then they switch the water on. But the minute the protest is done, then there's no water. And now, since last week, since our last protest, it was last week, Thursday, they actually switched the water off, and there's not a drop of water. Ever since Thursday to date, there's nothing.
So
the challenge that we have now, it's matric prelims that the kids are writing. It is so difficult because these kids have to go to school with they don't wash. That is how bad it is at this current moment.
Does it affect the neighbouring neighbourhoods as well? Is it into Sophia Town, Coronationville, Nuclear?
Absolutely. Remember, for Coronationville, it's even worse because they're adjacent to a informal settlement that's right there with them. So these people have water. There's all these videos that's been going around how these kids are playing with the water, whereas the neighboring country that is the neighboring community that is paying for water has no water, absolutely not a drop. That is really affecting Coronationville badly.
What are your protests happening today?
So we want to know because there's a whole lot of lies with regards to what is happening. If it's either a pipe or there's the water, the thing is not coming through, the water is not coming through. That's the only thing that there's no reason that they're telling us what's the exact thing of what we need to know. What is the issue with the water?
All right. So how are you protesting?
Because all the other areas are Claremont, Waterval, Claremont, Montclair, and Coronationville that's really affected with this.
What are you protesting? Are you stopping the main roads? Are you blocking off roads?
All the roads will be blocked, yes.
Including, what is it, on Deckers Road or whatever, that main road?
On Deckers as well.
And Fuel Road coming up from the south?
I beg your pardon?
And Fuel Road coming up from the south?
As well, because that's Coronationville and Westbury. That's a mix with the two roads.
Is there any sort of presence or response from the municipality today so far?
Not at all. Nothing. There was no communication since last week. We've spoken to councillors, to make sure that there's water. So that's the only thing that we've been getting, and that happens like once a day, and then there's nothing.
And how long will you be protesting? Somebody's making their way from Krugersdorp now, from Rudaport. They want to get into town?
Till whenever they get to reply to us. If we can get a positive response today, then we'll stop the protest. But for as long as we don't have water, it will continue.
All right, so you're telling the public to avoid the Westbury area. Just try and, if they have to get into town, go via Northcliffe and go around or go down south.
That's correct.
All right, and it's... these things are always worrying that things start becoming violent and group mentality starts getting involved. How are you controlling the protest?
The very difficult thing is we have the police that's deployed to the areas based on that. So when we close up the roads, these people aren't affected by it, where they live. They're not affected, So nobody's standing by us to try and eradicate the situation. The whole community can't even come out because our area is so separated with regards to gangsterism that's happening in the area. So if you live at a certain spot, it's even difficult for you to continue to even go part and be part of the protest in the area. So it's very difficult for us as a community to be able to do this. So the few people that stay have to continue. That's what's happening at this current moment.
All right, Jefferson Alistair is a Westbury community leader. Thank you very much. As you heard, protests happening in Westbury. They're shutting down the roads. So if you're coming in from the west, you're travelling along on Deckers, which becomes main road, just past South Bakels. I'm imagining that's all shut down. It's just opposite the JMPD office. And if you're coming in from the south, there's Fuel Road, Commander Road, that becomes Fuel Road that goes into town, goes past the Helen Joseph Hospital, that sort of area. So be careful if you're in that vicinity. You're with SAFM. It's the morning brief. It's exactly 7 o'clock.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, 6 people shot and killed in Cape Town and Mamelodi hostage situation ends in double tragedy. Good morning. 6 people, including 4 females, have been shot and killed across Kraaifontein in Cape Town in separate incidents. Police spokesperson Novella Potelwa says they probing 3 double murders and a case of attempted murder. She says the motive for the attacks are unclear at this stage. The area has been hard hit by gang-related killings in recent months. 2 people have died in a hostage situation in Mamelodi east of Pretoria. A 32-year-old police constable shot and killed himself after he allegedly held his family members, including his mother, and an 18-year-old nephew hostage since early yesterday morning over a family dispute. Tshwane Police District Commissioner Major General Samuel Tine elaborates.
Negotiators were still negotiating to see if the constable will come out. In the process, while the team was approaching, just before they entered into the house, 2 shots were heard, and as they checked inside the house, it was found that the constable has taken his life. He committed suicide. The 18-year-old was found. Unfortunately, he passed. There's gunshot wounds on the 18-year-old.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Post Bank is unable to function as a fully fledged banking entity until it receives a formal banking license. President Ramaphosa revealed this in Parliament during his oral reply to questions by lawmakers. Last week, it emerged that the South African Social Security Agency and the Post Bank are terminating the Master Service Agreement at the end of September. President Ramaphosa says Communications Minister Solly Malatsi is tasked to provide the necessary legislative support in order for the Post Bank to resume its work as a legally operating banking entity.
Whilst obtaining a banking license is an independent regulatory process, the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, as the representative shareholder and executive authority of the Post Bank on behalf of our government, is tasked with ensuring that the Post Bank receives the necessary support to obtain the banking license. Now, according to the Minister, the Post Bank has not yet fully met the conditions for a banking license.
The investigating officer in the Sindiso Makaka murder trial is expected to take the stand today in the bail application by the former KZN Mzumkulu municipal manager, Zwelipanzi Sikosana. Makaka, who was a councillor and former ANC Youth League Secretary General, died in 2017 after gunmen opened fire on his car. During Sikosana's cross-examination, the state prosecutor, Advocate Lawrence Kaba, put it to him that he has the financial means to tamper with evidence. The state also says Sikosana is the last remaining mastermind behind the killing following the death of the district mayor. Sikosana denies any involvement in the murder. The US President Donald Trump says he's unhappy about every aspect of Israel's strike in Qatar against members of Hamas. He says Israel had not given him enough notice to warn Qatar. The BBC's Sarah Smith has the details.
Speaking to reporters in Washington last night, he made his displeasure known.
It's not a good situation, but I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today.
In a post on his social media site earlier, Mr. Trump wrote that the decision to attack was taken by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and not by him, and that by the time his administration had been notified of the attack, it was too late to stop the bombing. He added that unilaterally bombing Qatar, which he described as a strong ally and friend of the United States, did not advance Israel or America's goals.
Recapping the top stories, 6 people, including 4 females, have been shot and killed across Kraaifontein and Cape Town in separate incidents. Police spokesperson Novella Potelwa says they are probing 3 double murders and a case of attempted murder. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, we'll bring you the action from last night. And it is Bafana Bafana. They are edging closer and closer to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And this after holding Nigeria to a 1-1 draw. We also have cricket news where the Proteas are shaking off their defeat. They've set their sights on the T20 series against England. All the details just before 7:30.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
When it comes to saving you money, Outsurance puts their money where their mouth is. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you're being claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08 600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
We start in Joburg, just west of the city. Protest action this morning in the Westbury area, so expect some delays there around Fuel Road, Commando Road that comes up in that way, sort of Westbury, New Clare area. If you move that way, expect some diversions around that particular set of protesting. Crash on the N17 and some roadworks between Rondebolt Road and Osborne Road. If you're on your way out of Boksburg, that is slow this morning. Mike 1's under pressure from Buccleuch down to Marlborough Drive. That is very slow. And a crash on the Body Highway at Theo Martins. Looks like it's probably been cleared up, but there's a bit of traffic heading down through the Bend area this morning. Durban's M7, heavy if you're Pinetown bound, queuing from North Dean, North Park, up towards the N3 highway. The M13 from Hillcrest, moving through towards Maytime Stores on your way to Kloof. That is really busy. There's a crash on the M4 South near the M41 at Umhlanga, causing some delays coming down from Umhlanga Rocks Drive junction. And Cape Town, a collision on the N1 into town this morning at Old Oak Road in the Belleville area. That's a heavy delay right back to Kryfontein behind that N1 queue. The R300 waiting to get in, pushing things back as far as Funeribic Road. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 8 minutes past 7. John Ian Fatulas, good morning to you. It's the Morning Brief. Coming up in the next hour, in a moment, we're going to talk about extra pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa. The National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council has urged the president to establish an Office of Public Integrity. We're going to find out what that's all about in a moment. Then the Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition, Parks Towers, moved to reassure us about the draft national credit regulations. We'll see what that reassurance is about. And we're going to go to the Human Rights Council just before 8 o'clock today, who have denounced Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi's plans to evict residents and dismantle informal settlements across the province. Going to find out what their views are there. We're also going to talk about what's happening with the mines. The Human Rights Council also getting involved with those the illegal miners happening out in Stilfontein a couple of years ago. So we'll ask them about that. There's unemployment across the country, as you've heard, but Tshwane seem to be doing something different. They're launching a 5 billion rand investment drive in its first ever Tshwane Rising Investment Summit. It's happening today. We're going to talk to the executive mayor of Tshwane. So if you have questions about that, more than welcome to send them in. And then later on, we're going to talk about addiction, a silent battle in many South African homes. Alcohol, drugs, there's prescription pills, there's gambling as well. There's so many forms of addiction. We're going to talk to a senior lecturer and psychologist at UNISA about healing and some tools for recovering as well if you're involved or there's somebody you know that might be involved with addiction. So that's all coming up in the next couple of hours. Welcome to the program. As always, phone lines open 086 000 2032. You can send your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
What does extraordinary mean to you? Is it factories and warehouses that run themselves or monitoring your assets in real time? Vodacom Business has connected more than 11.1 million IoT devices to enable smarter business, AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Search Vodacom Business IoT. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the art and heart of jazz. From the 26th, 27th and 28th of September, Umu Sankare, Ababemu, Jasmia Horn, Silent Law and the Noisemakers, Najbonk Trio, Michelle Ndingio-Jello, Willem Siini, Gabby Mutuba, and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now. The only talk radio morning breakfast show that makes sense. The Morning Brief.
It's 12 minutes past 7. Good morning to you. President Cyril Ramaphosa is under pressure from the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council to establish an Office of Public Integrity, permanent and independent body to lead South Africa's battle against entrenched corruption. Sikwetlani Pamori is a member of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council. Sikwetlani, good morning to you. What is the Office of Public Integrity?
The Office for Public Integrity is a proposed institution by the NACAC to support the anti-corruption effort in South Africa. As you and the listeners may recall from the Zondo Commission, corruption is a serious problem in our country. It is systemic in nature, and the corruption-busting capability we've got is often only reactive, relying on law enforcement agencies to intervene only after corruption has been reported or is suspected, and by then it's often too late. So what we have proposed to the President, Cabinet and the country is a new kind of institution that will not only be reacting when corruption has happened, but will actually be principally charged with corruption prevention through various powers and functions that we have proposed it should have.
Are you going to absorb the SIU into this?
Certainly, yes. We've got a really fantastic corruption-busting organization in the Special Investigating Unit. I think that you and listeners have seen the phenomenal work that it has been doing over the many years in order to respond to the crisis of state capture and corruption and the recoveries that it's been able to make. We think that this is going to be a really strong foundation for the OPI because it has the personnel, it has the experienced investigators, and it has some of the resources that are required to be able to start performing these functions of the proposed OPI almost immediately. However, it does need additional powers and functions in order to be able to do the prevention functions as well as to enhance its current capabilities.
And it's Sorry, go ahead.
One of these is being able to conduct an investigation into systemic corruption without a presidential proclamation. We are not at all proposing that the president shouldn't be able to issue a proclamation where it's required, but that the OPI should then be able to investigate without one so that it can then be able to get ahead of the game and really start doing the work continue doing the good work that we've been seeing it doing.
Who does oversight then of the OPI?
Well, we are proposing that the OPI is positioned as a Chapter 9 institution. This would make it not only structurally and institutionally independent as an institution supporting constitutional democracy, but in addition to that, it then becomes directly accountable to the people through Parliament, which then, positions it in an almost similar place as what the Public Protector would be, or even what the Auditor General of South Africa would be.
It's all very well being able to investigate, and what about prosecution? Where does the NPA fit in this?
Well, the NPA continues to be a critical organization in this regard. We firmly believe that the NPA should continue to maintain its monopoly over prosecutions. This is how it's been established in Chapter 10 of the Constitution, and we think that this is right. The OPI, together with the NPA and other law enforcement organizations, we propose should have a case management committee of some kind so that they can then be able to coordinate and understand who's investigating what, how far are these investigations, and then for the OPI to then be able to conduct these investigations and then hand over the evidence that is collected and compiled in a way that enables immediate prosecution, as opposed to what we've got right now, where it can only recommend that the NPA, DPCI, or other law enforcement agency goes back to re-investigate, which slows down the process of getting these guys in orange overalls.
Do the Hawks form part of this as well then?
Well, yes, the DPCI we've proposed should, and these are the Hawks, of course, we've proposed should actually be singularly focused on investigating organized crime. Complex or serious corruption is really a complicated affair, and as we've seen, the DPCI hasn't been able to see to the complex corruption cases as much as it's also been able to attend to the serious organized crime cases on its desk. And so what we've proposed is that where the DPCI attends to the serious organized crime cases, the IDAC, the IDAC, which is in the NPA, should then have the monopoly over serious corruption investigation and prosecution.
Let's talk about the Mdlanga Commission that's coming up. You've told them to focus on the collapse of crime intelligence. The scope is getting very big for this Mdlanga Commission.
It certainly is, but it's really critical to understand the role of crime intelligence in the corruption busting and security functionality of our country. You must remember that in order to be able to investigate corruption, not only in public institutions, but also inside of the SAPS itself, which is where corruption is often first reported, crime intelligence needs to be able to gather that intelligence, understand what is going on, and then compile briefs and dockets that then enable an overarching kind of trajectory in terms of how crime fighting, organized crime, and also corruption busting should happen. And so the Mdlanga Commission really needs to start unearthing what is going on inside of our crime intelligence division in the SAPS, in order for us to then be able to strengthen that architecture, which often operates under cover of darkness, and necessarily so because this is really about having high-level and sometimes really dangerous covert criminal intelligence gathering operations. But we nevertheless still require the necessary oversight. We need to understand whether that is working, whether there is accountability in that division of the SAPS. And the Mdlanga Commission, given where the condition of the SAPS at the moment, would then be able to assist us in identifying where the problems are and how they need to be resolved so that we can renew our law enforcement apparatus, principally starting with our police service, which is one of the biggest bureaucracies and organizations in government that we rely on so much for peace and security in our country.
This is now on the desk of the president. What has he said? And I guess the outcome of this is just to see how serious the leadership is about these reforms.
It certainly is the case, John. Our role was simply to engage the various organizations, understand the architecture, and then make our advices to the present cabinet and the country. However, the president has received these recommendations quite positively. You'll recall that his letter several weeks ago indicated, or his statement several weeks ago indicated that he was satisfied with the work that we had done. And you would have also seen his letter to the country on Monday, where he expressed his support for this kind of institution that we're proposing in the OPI, where it's attending not only to the reactive law enforcement side of things, but also to the prevention side of things. There are a whole slew of other recommendations that we've made and advisories that we've issued to the president, which can be found on anticorruption.gov.za, which is the NACAC website. And you will see that these also start to speak to things like political party funding, given its relationship with corruption and state capture in South Africa, around procurement reform, public procurement reform, and what needs to happen to strengthen it and bring integrity back into procurement, public procurement, which includes things like open procurement or open contracting that we've proposed. We've also looked at other areas which connect with the corruption-related issues, but really need direct and focused attention. And so it'll really be up to the President and Cabinet to see through the recommendations that we've made. But for now, they're all available on our website, anticorruption.gov.za, or on the Presidency's website as well.
Sikwetlani Pamodi, thank you very much. A member of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
This summer, the continent unites for the biggest football showdown in Africa. The Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is coming to your screens, live and available on SABC TV channels, SABC Sport, SABC Plus, and across your favorite SABC radio stations. Catch all 52 thrilling matches, stand behind Bafana Bafana, and experience every goal, every cheer, and every victory from 21 December 2025 to 18 January 2026. SABC Sport brings you all the AFCON 2025 action, live and free, because it's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 450-gram Bacoma Wheat Bix for $26.99 and 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 750-gram Nola mayonnaise for $38.99 and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 22 September 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
23 minutes past 7. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Parks Towers, moved to reassure you that the recently released draft national credit regulations, published last month, are not designed to unfairly target or disadvantage any group. Ministerial spokesperson for the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition is Kamil Ali. Kamil, good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Just some confirmation. What do you mean, or give us some clarification on the student debt concerns?
Good morning to you, John, and good morning to your listeners, and thank you very much for having me this morning. I think it's unfortunate the way this situation has panned out over the past week with respect to the regulations. We have published the regulations in draft format for public comment. And the intention behind the regulations has really been to bring SMMEs into the ambit of the National Credit Act in order to create access for them to formal financing. The unfortunate part of it is that Regulation 18.7E, which has been gazetted a long time ago, in 2006, in fact, includes educational institutions under those institutions which are originating sources of information. This has thus resulted in a public outcry, which we have unfortunately had to manage over the past week. And to reassure the public really that the new regulations do not place any additional burden on students with respect to it.
If there's already confusion with the proposals, do you think there's going to be rewording of this of the draft?
Well, John, we'll have to take into consideration the comments that we've received from the public during the review process. During this process, we'll have to see how it is that we manage the draft and the regulations as they are, it's quite a difficult thing because the section which has caused the public outcry is not necessarily the section that is being amended per se. So yes, but we will certainly review with respect to the public comments that we received.
Still a couple of days for people to be able to publicly comment on this. And what's the process once that's all been received?
Well, once that's received, the team that's responsible for the draft within the branch will continue their review process, take into consideration the comments received, and then publish the final version of the regulations as per the review that they've undertaken.
We're not denying that MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises, need a change in the way that credit is given. How long is this going to take? Somebody sitting wanting to open a small business today, how long can they wait before something happens? All right, we seem to have lost Kamil Ali. All right, we've lost Kamil Ali.
Sorry, John. I seem to have lost you.
It's okay.
For a second.
We're out of time, Kamil. We'll continue this conversation later on. Kamil Ali, thank you very much. Ministerial spokesperson for the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, allaying fears that the draft national credit regulations won't unfairly target or disadvantage any group, especially individuals with student debt. And you still have time to comment on that. It's 27 minutes past 7.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning. Let's kick off with Bafana. They're edging ever closer to the 2026 FIFA World Cup after holding Nigeria to a 1-1 draw in Bloemfontein. An old goal from William Trusikong gave South Africa the lead before Calvin Bassett equalised on the stroke of half-time. The result keeps Hugo Bruges' men 6 points clear at the top of Group C with just 2 games to play. Nigeria coach as well has been praising Bafana's progress since AFCON, while his side, they still have a lot of work to do. Now, Benny McCarthy's Kenya delivered a statement performance in Nairobi, dismantling Seychelles 5-0 to record their biggest win of the World Cup qualifying campaign. Elsewhere, Cape Verde took a giant stride towards a historic World Cup debut. They stunned Cameroon 1-0. We also have Egypt, their march to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Hitting a speed bump in Ouagadougou, the Pharaohs were held to a goalless draw by a resolute Burkina Faso side. Peter Shalulile, he lit up Francis Town with a ruthless World Cup qualifying hat-trick, guiding Namibia to a 3-0 win over Sao Tome and Principe. Niger delivered a shock of the day, that was in Dar es Salaam, edging Tanzania 1-0 in their defiant display that reshaped the race for second. Niger, they climbed to 9 with a game in hand and momentum on their side. Now, Morocco have already qualified. They stretch clear at the summit with 21 points after dispatching Zambia 2-0. Elsewhere, Inter Miami striker Luis Suarez has been given an additional 3-game ban for spitting on a Seattle Sounders staff member. Major League Soccer has handed Suarez a 3-match ban, meaning he will miss matches against Charlotte FC, DC United and Seattle in Miami's domestic campaign. Miami lost 3-0, and that was in the final at the Lumen Field in Seattle. Elsewhere, Ange Postecoglou has been appointed as head coach of Nottingham Forest to replace the sacked Nuno Espirito Santo. Nuno left his position at the City ground late on Monday night after 21 months in charge and only 3 games into the season. Postecoglou returns to management 3 months after he was sacked by Tottenham following a dismal Premier League season, and that's where they finished 17th. And rugby news, Leinster have secured one of South Africa's brightest young talents, with loose forward Josh Neal set to join the academy at the end of the year. The Rondebosch High School standout captained Western Province at the Under-18 Craven Week, earning Player of the Tournament honours before representing South Africa's Under-18 against France, Ireland and England, and that was in the International Series. And finally, motorsport, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris have stated they will obey any McLaren team orders in the potentially title-deciding final races of the 2025 Formula One season following their late swap at the Italian Grand Prix. Norris was on course for second place behind race winner Max Verstappen at Monza, but a slow pit stop put him behind teammate Piastri, who undercut him. McLaren's racing principles have been tested several times over the last 18 months, but they have maintained a culture of the team coming first. And that's a wrap. We'll have more sports in the Fast Lane, top of the hour. I'm Sai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, 6 people, including 4 females, have been shot and killed across Kraaifontein in Cape Town in separate incidents. Police spokesperson Avila Potelwa says they are probing 3 double murders and a case of attempted murder. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Post Bank is unable to function as a fully fledged banking entity until it receives a formal banking license. He revealed this in Parliament during his oral reply to questions by lawmakers. And a major UN study has found that for the first time, the number of children worldwide suffering from obesity is higher than those who are underweight. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We start in Pretoria. Heavy delays out of Soshanguve on the Soutpan Road, the M35 through Onderstepoort. There's a crash there, and that's what's causing that big backlog this morning. N1 south to Buerta Avenue, that's looking slow. N14 Pretoria bound again. You're going to be asked to queue up towards that Brockfontein interchange. Quite a heavy delay building through there. Same sort of deal on Allendale Road, leaving Tembisa. You'll be asked to sit in traffic through towards Mastiff Road this morning. Delays coming out of Soweto, N1 north from Soweto up towards Maresburg slow, and protesting blocking roads again in the Westbury area. That's a protest that's been rumbling on for some time and an on-off nature. It is on this morning. Westbury community out, blocking off sections of the main fuel road through there. That's the extension of Commando Road, busy route that. Durban, M7 into Pinetown, sitting heavy from North to Dean, North Park, North Dean, all the way up over St John's Avenue Bridge this morning. Crash on the M4 going north at Mshlanga, so extra delays to get through. Traffic from Durban north all the way up towards the Mshlanga Rocks Drive junction and that traffic and that collision scene. And Cape Town with some wet weather across the region. Just take it easy. It's Wednesday, so it's high volume office day. It's wet, so roads are slippery, and the high volume and the rain just means a general slowdown. Everything pretty heavy and pretty busy, particularly the M5 all the way back from Grassy Park this morning. The R300 from Delft side jam-packed all the way up towards the N1 highway. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Business Update on SAFM.
27 minutes to 8, you're with SAFM, and Tauling Lachela is watching all the business news for us, and I see that Walmart are coming in officially now.
That's right, John. The world's biggest retailer, Walmart, is set to shake up the local retail space with the launch of its first branded stores in the country before the end of the year. Now, this move further cements its exposure to the local market. The business already holds the majority stake in Massmart, which runs stores like Game and Macro. The retail giant plans to bring its signature everyday low prices model to the local market, directly competing with the likes of ShopRite. The move has the potential to benefit consumers with more choices and lower prices, but it may also challenge local retailers, leading to tighter margins. Now, Walmart's scale and sourcing capabilities is said to give it a competitive edge, but analysts say its success will depend on consistent quality, product availability, and effective shrink control. The official opening dates are expected to be announced next month, and analysts believe that Walmart's entry will be welcomed by suppliers who will gain access to shelf space over time through tighter pricing discipline across the sector can be expected.
Interesting to see what kind of stores they open. Are they going to be the large macro stores? Are they going to be smaller game stores? Keep a close eye on that. And I see Spar have pulled out of Switzerland.
That's right, and this couldn't have come at a more appropriate time, especially with the launch of Walmart on the horizon. And just on that Walmart story, right, so they'll continue holding the stake in Massmart and opening stores on that front. What they are bringing into the country is that signature Walmart store, so the stores we are seeing in the US, etc., etc. Right, so on Spar's front, their focus on SA is important as it attempts to gain market share in a competitive industry. Now, the sale of its Swiss operations to Tannenwald Holding for about R1 billion has strengthened the retailer's financial position. The deal reduces Spar's group debt by 2.7 billion rand and removes all cross-border guarantees, allowing the company to focus on its core geographies. Despite a cash outflow of about 683 million rand to settle historical obligations and a Swiss competition fine, Spar's balance sheet has benefited from the transaction. With this divestment, Spar is poised to resume dividends earlier than planned. So Spar shareholders could be in for some cash when it releases its results. Now, the company has suspended dividends in 2022 to prioritize financial stability and growth opportunities. Spar's strategic review of European assets led to a 3 billion rand impairment of that unit earlier this year. The sale, of course, marks a decisive step in optimizing capital allocation and strengthening its balance sheet.
And what's happening on the markets today?
So kicking things off in Asia, traders upbeat, with investors shrugging off China's deflation concerns. Consumer prices there falling at their fastest pace in 6 months at minus 0.4% in August, further highlighting a downbeat consumption issue in Beijing. Markets, however, in the green, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng leading the gains at over 1%. Over in the U.S., traders are also eyeing inflation data out later ahead of the print. Futures are mixed, and then coming back home, trade closed positively with the All share up 0.4%. The rand jumping on the positive momentum, trading stronger after we got that upbeat GDP print. The rand is sitting at 17.51 to the greenback. And now looking at commodities, what's been on your radar, John? Gold still trading at record highs, sitting above 3,680. That really being boosted by overall positive global sentiment. We are seeing bets for a Fed rate cut being lifted, and that's really boding well for markets. For oil, in the meantime, also steady. It's making slight gains, trading just above $66 per barrel.
Taolong Lachela, thank you very much. In an hour's time, she's going to tell us about how the market's reacting to that 0.8% increase in our economy. Also, what's happening with Anglo in Canada. All of that coming up in an hour's time.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Time for some calls, 086 000 2032. Let's start with Bram Moro in Mangaung. You want to talk about Bafana?
Yes, please, Mr. John, how are you?
Lekker, go ahead.
I'm good, thank you. Firstly, on behalf of all residents in Bloemfontein, we are very much appreciative to the management of Bafana and SAFA for bringing the national team to the province. Honestly, it was not, it wouldn't be appropriate if we fail to express our profound gratitude to them. Secondly, yesterday's game signifies that Africa has a lot of potentials to offer. You know, South Africa showcase the best of hospitality. John, you've been on the South African Airways flight before. You see these beautiful ladies who are serving in the flight. They brought them to the stadium. When the players were entering and exiting, I've never witnessed any Bafana game having the South African airline workers there. Secondly, they even brought a whole artist, Casper, to entertain each and every one of us. Honestly, paying 70 rand for such a match ticket is just free for everyone. To this effect, let us please put our hatred against each other aside. If you can see the unity that Nigerians and South Africans yesterday possessed in the stadium, probably it's Bloemfontein that is showering this on the whole country, which the other cities and the continent can also tap into it. I pray that Donald Trump is failing to come to South Africa, but Bafana will represent South Africa in America, of which Donald Trump will be forced to hand over the trophy to Bafana when they represent the whole continent in the next year's World Cup. Thank you, Mr. John.
From your mouth, Bramoro. Let's go to AB in Durban. Good morning, AB. What do you have to say?
Yeah, good morning, John. You know, I'm really taken aback that SAFM on Elvis's show actually played the whole speech of Netanyahu, a genocidal maniac representing a Nazi-type government carrying out a Holocaust. In his speech, he defiantly gave the two fingers to international law. Very disappointed that this criminal was given a full open platform to justify the murderous actions of his apartheid regime. And John, let me quickly add that 2 ships in the flotilla of 50 ships taking food to the starving people of Gaza have been attacked by drones in international waters. This is the actions of a rogue state. It commits all its crimes because it has the full support of a bigger terrorist state. That, of course, is the United States of America. Let me quickly add that Physicians for Human Rights and B'Tselem, an Israeli human rights organization, concluded that what Israel is doing in Gaza is a genocide. And also 100 genocide experts around the world have also declared it a genocide.
Would you rather us restrict the speech of Netanyahu and not allow the public to hear what his views are?
Well, the whole speech was giving justification for what was happening, and I thought that was going over the top.
But you now are more educated what his reasons were, and you can make a decision from that.
Well, I'll leave it to the public to decide.
AB, thank you very much. AB in Durban, wanting us to restrict certain views. Let's go to, is it JCK in Limpopo? Go ahead.
Hi, Johnny Fulligate, are you well?
Lekker, go ahead.
Yeah, it's JCK from Musina. John Fulligate, has government ran out of ideas? Don't the government know the reason why firearms are mushrooming in the country today? Don't they know that? The reason why we've got plenty of guns. Firearms has become a toy today under the ANC government. Government doesn't care about our safety and security. And John, not everything under apartheid was evil. During apartheid, there was law and order, and AK-47 was S. Should we believe what former Rhodesian Prime Minister Ian Smith said about blacks that gives them guns, they will kill themselves or they will kill their relatives? Today, we die not because of the calling from God, but because of man-made and the government selling our lives. Something must be done about that. It's time the government do something, man. They know the reason why guns are here. Porous borders. They must do something about that. Everyday guns, everyday guns, everyday guns. Because their relatives and friends are not killed. It's us citizens. That's why they don't care.
So you're talking gun control or just control of illegal guns?
Illegal guns are crossing now as we speak, are crossing the borders now. And the government is aware of that. They don't do anything. Where are we going? And the Constitution talks about our safety and security. So government is failing to do that. So what?
JCK.
Neeman. Let me rest my case for now. JCK.
Thank you very much. And let's go to, is it Papillon in Elders? Papillon, go ahead.
Hi, my friend. Are you well?
Always.
Thank you. You know, just before I begin on my topic, I heard history. So yesterday that SABC is bankrupt already concerning finance. Well, do you know that about 5 years now, or just remember there was a man, I think it was Claudi Mutsaneng, if not mistaken, Claudi. He was ordered to pay something like 6 million back of his
11 million.
account concern, fraud, and nothing happened to him. You know that he is still out, no charges, nothing at all, which means that whoever now currently is busy with SABC stealing and corruption, whatever, they know as well that nothing will happen to them, and all thanks to Cyril, who put all his cages over it. But anyway, my story is, Ms. Villa, she told me, in fact, she told me, she announced that she wants to be mayor of Johannesburg.
Mm-hmm.
Before she becomes mayor, I would request that she holds a meeting of the DA members, whereby she is to bring up a topic concerning the death penalty, which we are crying for so much. Remember, the states there are provinces, states in America which have the death penalty and others which do not have the death penalty. And who is ruling Cape Town? Why is it then the constitution is not altered for such? That's number one. Secondly, the Illuminati story. The story of Antichrist, it's not Antichrist, of Satanism, which on June 2020, Mr. Cyril legalized. There are churches which are being built in Durban and here in Park Station, whereby Satanism is the main worship. And how many, in fact, we were rather surprised because were there any vote in Parliament to allow that? We know nothing of. Lastly, the story of the Pala Pala story. Secondly, another story, I do not know you remember Mr. William Kize. He was in the top rank, all of a sudden he was put out because of finance and blah, blah, blah. All that day. And we know that she's only becoming the mayor. But to open the way for the next general elections in 2029, how many more will be altering from that whatever party it is to the DA, so that such issues and the charges against such people, especially in the top rank, can be brought back, and people, there must not be a conference, no. There must not be a truth and reconciliation, no. They must be charged immediately.
All right.
Thank you.
Popular in Elders, some strong views there. And finally, for now, Bonakele in Cape Town, go ahead.
Hey, John, long time not speaking to you, brother. How you doing?
Lekker, man.
Good. Listen, I'm worried or concerned about the police committing suicide. I mean, what is causing this police guy taking their lives and all that? So this guy recently, where did it happen, in Pretoria or where?
Yeah, it's in the news. Stress and depression are a real thing, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. But why an option of taking your life, committing suicide? Is there any way of solving problems? If you're facing problems, what is it that causes them to take their lives, man?
In fact, it's an interesting conversation to have. Get hold of the police and see what sort of psychological help policemen and women get in this country, if anything at all.
Yes.
Because you can imagine what it's like to be a policeman in South Africa at the moment. It must be horrific.
Wow.
And the things that they see every day, and I wonder what kind of support they do get.
So does it mean that should lead someone to commit suicide, take your life?
It just shows you. It shows you what they're going through, hey?
Do they pay? Yeah. But when someone is being employed by the police service, do they perhaps check them and take them through to whatever?
Yeah, we'll have
one
to find
needs
out.
to be fit, so that you face. Understand? You know what you're facing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say.
Bonakele, it's a great story. We'll definitely look into that. Bonakele in Cape Town. You hear these stories about policemen killing relatives, killing their family, and then killing themselves. It's access to the gun, first of all, but then it's the difficulty that they experience. You with SAFM. There are a couple of voice notes. Somebody's responding to Albi. Should we play that voice note now? Let's play that one quickly.
Good morning, John. Your caller from Durban, AB. Oh, he's so anti-Israel. Everything they do, he criticizes. Meanwhile, the facts are that the one boat that Greta Thunberg was on was not hit by a drone. They were playing with flares, and one of the flares went off and caused a fire. So they tried to create an incident out of that and spread rumors and falsehoods. Totally ridiculous. He's got a one-sided view and will always have, obviously. This is Mike in Hillcrest, KZN.
You with SAFM. It's 10 to 8.
SAFM. guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. It's not a bad run through Joburg for a midweek Wednesday. It can often get a little bit busy. It probably is busier, I guess, on the roads going to these big office areas like Sandton. Having a look at our real times, Rivonia Road coming into Morningside, quite busy. Ballyclare coming off William Mandela into Sandton, that's quite slow. William Mandela at Republic, and then down onto Sandton Drive at Parkmore, that's slow. And a bit of traffic on South Road as well, coming through that side of Morningside off Marlborough Drive in towards Sandton. So reasonably busy there. Also, if you're on your way to Rosebank, Jan Smuts Avenue from the Mike 1 Highway, moving up towards the zoo, that's quite heavy as well this morning. And protesting in Westbury Nuclear area, so Fuel Road, which is the sort of extension of Perth Road and Commando Road, a very busy road right through that central Westbury area is closed, and that's just forcing a lot of traffic to sort of reroute down through Lunglata area, so you will find yourself using alternative routes through that part of Joburg today. Durban's M7 North Dean up in the Pinetown remains heavy. The N2 both ways queuing through Spaghetti Junction, northbound fairly normal, southbound it's a broken down vehicle in the usual place just after Umgene Road. And then Cape Town wet weather conditions plus high volume Wednesdays means everything is pretty much on a go slow. You can see that playing out on the R300 from Cales River up towards the N1 from Belleville all the way through to the city centre. Plenty of traffic between Grassy Park and Maitland on the M5 northbound, and if you're coming out of the Tableview area, still strong traffic there between Sunningdale and a Racecourse Road at Milnerton. There's also just been a crash on Sir Lowry's Pass, probably a bit wet and misty up that way as well, so if you're going over the pass towards Cribbo, just watch for a bit of a slowdown after the hairpin bend. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
I work at Optimia College. We offer distance learning solutions.
How is it that OUTsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You're helping people to do better, and OUTsurance is doing better for you.
Definitely. If OUTsurance will not be able to beat your current premiums, remember there's that 500 Rand that you could get.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Tell me, what brings you and OUTsurance together?
You know, Jacques, I've been battling to get a nice car insurance, man. Someone that can give you nice service. Whenever you call them, they're there for you. You know, OUTsurance, I found them. I'm saving a cool $360.
Why put yourself through the pain? Be like Jermaine.
Yes, be like Jermaine and sign up with OUTsurance.
Get the real deal with the real savings.
Yes, there we go. I made the right move.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Ohino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
South African Human Rights Council has denounced Premier Panyaza Lesufi's announced plans to evict residents and dismantle informal settlements across the Gauteng province. Commissioner Nomahlubi Kwinana joins us now from the South African Human Rights Commission. It sounds like good plans. These people are they're building illegal settlements. What's the issue you have at the South African Human Rights Council, Nomahlubi?
So it's the South African Human Rights Commission, John,
sure.
And good morning so much to you. And thank you for the opportunity that you're giving us just to explain our statement this morning. So as a Human Rights Commission, our concern is that once eviction do take place, they must do so within the ambit of the law. So if the Premier is going to follow the law, by all means, we do not have a problem with that. But the issue is that we have recently had complaints that have been filed to our offices where it is about unlawful evictions, where there are no court orders, and of course the evictions are also just being done randomly. Over and above that, the Premier himself said he will do evictions at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that's a concern for us because we could be talking about children, older persons, persons with disabilities that are residing in those informal settlements. And if it's going to be done in that way, they are likely to be susceptible to criminality, to abuse, misplacement, and many other things.
So as long as he follows the law, you have no problem with the process?
Absolutely not, because as a Human Rights Commission, we are saying definitely all the stakeholders that are supposed to uphold the Constitution and all the laws of our country must do so. So whether we are talking about the Premier himself, who was brought about by the very Constitution that we are defending as Human Rights Commission, he's supposed to also act within the prescriptions of the law. So whether it's the immigration officers that can be brought in because there's issues around that, again, they must just act within the prescriptions of the law. So the human corridor must continue to exist despite the challenges. And that's all what we are about as Human Rights Commission.
You talk about systematic failures, the consequences of systematic failures that disproportionately affect the poor, marginalized, and voiceless. What do you mean?
We're talking about issues really around housing. While Section 26 is clear to say that there must be adequate housing, truth be told, there are certain areas where that is not done enough. While there could be areas that can be used in order to be demarcated and used for residential purposes, our government seems to be taking time. RDP's houses are being built, they're not being allocated timelessly to people. So all those are the challenges that have been existing, that has been battling with, and as a result, they amount to informal settlements being established.
You're going to engage with people now. You haven't just sort of criticized the Premier. You're going to engage with the Minister, Human Settlements Minister as well, the Governance Minister. What is the next process you're going to be following through now?
Well, with the one where there's already has been unlawful evictions, we are busy with an application where we are taking the matter to court in order to restore the status quo. But also as a way of intervention, which we are allowed in terms of our mandate, in terms of Section 184 of the Constitution, which is to engage the different stakeholders. And that is why we are saying that we are going to engage even the Premier himself, who has already availed himself in public domain to say that he's ready to talk to us. And we're also going to then talk to the different ministers and find out if they do have a plan to mitigate this challenge. And of course, if they map up a plan for us that they undertake to do within a certain period of time, which we can then also then publish. And of course, in the event they do not meet their very own plan that they would have come up with, that's when we can again bring them to book.
While I've got you, Commissioner, the Human Rights Commission has also urged the National Police Commissioner, Fani Mosamola, to ensure Operation Dudula doesn't block foreign nationals from accessing healthcare. Tell us about that.
Well, that continues. We have said it with our statement before. The Act is asked again very clear, particularly the Constitution, Section 27 is clear, is that everyone should have access to health care. And we are saying that the law enforcement officials must do their bit. When anyone is against the law in our country, they must do their work. We are not saying that the law should not prevail. The law must still prevail, but at the same time, if people have got the right to access healthcare, they must also be allowed to access healthcare.
So it's all a big test of government accountability. It's a test of rule of law and their commitment to human dignity. Do you think the government will follow through?
Well, we hope the government is going to follow through. What we have seen is that the government is willing to engage. So we are hoping that indeed they're going to follow through with whatever plans that they come up with. But truth be told, it has just taken too long. And that is why we are faced with this situation that we are in as a country.
Right, we're going to leave it there. Commissioner Nomakhlubi Kwinana, South African Human Rights Commission, Commissioner from the Human Rights Commission. Thank you very much. I think I said committee instead of commission. Apologies for that. You're with SAFM. Coming up in a moment, South Africa battling unemployment. The city of Tshwane seems to want to be turning things around. They've got a 5 billion rand investment drive in their Tshwane Rising Investment Summit. It's happening today. We're going to talk to the mayor of Tshwane about what that summit is all about. And addiction remains a problem in South African homes. Families are left hopeless as loved ones spiral into dependence on alcohol, drugs or pills. We're going to talk about what that means with the senior lecturer and psychologist at UNISA, at the Department of Psychology of Education, Dr. Nomi Metsing. We're going to talk about addiction, what it means, how we can get out of it, solutions, and other things that you can look at. Detox, psychotherapy, outpatient counseling, aftercare, community support as well. A host of options. We're going to find out about all of that. Right now it's 8 o'clock.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, police probe 3 double murders in Cape Town, and child obesity levels surpasses underweight cases worldwide. Good morning. Police are yet to arrest suspects linked to the 3 double murders in separate shooting incidents across Kraaifontein in Cape Town. Spokesperson Wesley Tweak says officers found the bodies of 2 women and another victim wounded in Molefe Street in Wallerstein. He says in another incident, they found 2 women in their 20s inside a bedroom with gunshot wounds to their heads. He says they are probing whether the incidents may be linked. Tweak says 2 more victims were found dead in Eikendal.
Both victims were declared deceased on the scene by medical personnel. The suspects fled the scene and are yet to be arrested. The motives for these attacks forms part of the police investigation.
The TRC Cases Inquiry is considering a preliminary timetable which could see the inquiry begin with oral evidence by the 10th of November. The filing of witness statements is expected to be concluded by the 10th of October this year. On Monday, the TRC Cases Commission concluded its pre-hearing engagements with interested parties. Commission spokesperson Lionel Adendorf says that commissioners are considering the proposal.
The meeting discussed, amongst other things, how evidence would be collected and what process the inquiry would follow, and a draft timetable was discussed. According to this proposal, the TRC Cases Inquiry would receive evidence and submissions from anyone with information by the 10th of October and would hear oral evidence during the 2nd week of November. The commissioners are currently considering this proposal, and we will be able to communicate their decision once it has been made.
Some residents of Masilonyana local municipality in the Free State say they are not happy after Mayor Dimakatso Modise refused to step down from her position. The ANC in the province fired some mayors, chief whips and speakers from 7 ailing municipalities in the province due to failure in governance and provision of services. The mayors who have refused to comply have escalated their concerns to the party's national leadership. The residents had this to say.
So we want the council to be disbanded with an immediate effect. ANC must stop doing what it's doing now to protect this council of them.
I think the removal of the mayor and the speaker long being overdue. They should have been removed long time ago because they failed to apply or to comply with the Municipal System Act.
But moved in this municipality. However, this put the residents at stake where service delivery is not rendered anymore, where problem of water is still a crisis.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Post Bank is unable to function as a fully fledged banking entity until it receives a formal banking license. President Ramaphosa revealed this in Parliament during his oral reply to questions by lawmakers. Last week, it emerged that the South African Social Security Agency and the Post Bank are terminating the Master Service Agreement at the end of September. President Ramaphosa says Communications Minister Solly Malatsi is tasked to provide the necessary legislative support in order for the Post Bank to resume its work as a legally operating banking entity.
Whilst obtaining a banking license is an independent regulatory process, the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, as the representative shareholder and executive authority of the Post Bank on behalf of our government, is tasked with ensuring that the Post Bank receives the necessary support to obtain the banking license. Now, according to the Minister, the Post Bank has not yet fully met the conditions for a banking license.
And finally, a major UN study has found that for the first time, the number of children worldwide suffering from obesity is higher than those who are underweight. The UN Children's Agency blames a shift from traditional diets. The BBC's Dominic Hughes has the details.
Concern about malnutrition used to refer mainly to insufficient calories. Now, with rising obesity levels, even in poorer countries, the issue is about the impact of excessive, low-quality food on children's health and development. Traditional diets are being displaced by ultra-processed foods, often high in sugar, starch, salt, unhealthy fats and additives. Among school-aged children and adolescents, 1 in 5 is overweight and 1 in 10 is obese.
Recapping the top story, police are yet to arrest suspects linked to 3 double murders in separate shooting incidents across Kraaifontein in Cape Town. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
OUTsurance made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that OUTsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
OUTsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. It's cricket. Captain Aiden Markram saying his side is focused on the bigger picture with the World Cup 5 months away. They face England tonight in the first of 3 T20 internationals. And in soccer news, the Bafana head coach Hugo Bruges wants the team to wrap up the World Cup qualification quickly after the Nigeria stalemate. We'll have the details just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. A reminder of the protesting just west of central Joburg in the Westbury nuclear area. Part of Fuel Road has been blocked off by residents this morning, and that's a key road. Links Commando through to Perth, links you from sort of Mainry through to Auckland Park, if you like. So motorists having to divert largely down through Lunglatas. So there's a lot of traffic congestion there. The Mike 1 North, M2 West going through Crown up towards Parktown this morning's heavy N1 out of Soweto, all backed up towards the Gordon Road exit. And if you're heading into Sandton, it is Office Day Wednesday, so all the routes down through Rivonia, Morningside, coming out of Bryson and Randburg, all quite busy. Cedar Road into Four Ways from Danefern, slow, and William Mandela from that side of Danefern down towards Uranium and Lone Hill, very heavy backlogging going on there as well. Durban, we're still tracking heavy flows on the M7 into Pinetown, the N2 North from the M7 jam to Westwood Mall still at this hour, and Cape Town with a bit of rain about this morning. Everything's on a go slow, so allow some extra time. Also the R300, a breakdown at the N1 causing some delays, and the N7 south quite slow as you pick up the route from Plattekloof Road, moving all the way slowly down towards the N1 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's 9 minutes past 8. Jon Gericke in for Tulas. Good morning to you. It's the morning brief. We have an opportunity now to take your calls. We'll play some voice notes as well. In a moment, we're going to talk to the mayor of Tshwane. They have a new Tshwane Rising Investment Summit happening today. We're going to find out what that's all about. They've also revealed a 5 billion rand portfolio of investment-ready projects. Looking forward to find out what those are. And then addiction is a problem across South Africa. We're going to address those challenges in a while. Let's go to phones first. Where are we starting? Mike, go ahead, Mike. What do you have to say today?
Yeah. Hi, John. Good morning. Just responding to AB. I apologize. I didn't hear all of what he had to say. Suffice to say that he thinks we should censor Netanyahu. I thought maybe it'd just be fair to remind him. I've been hearing a lot about Israel since about this so-called attack on this little boat. The reason Israel is at war, John. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm walking up a hill. Is that the Israelis took 245 hostages after killing 1,400 people, and Israelis are simply saying they want the hostages back. Mainstream media, I have to say, if I'm going to pick a bone with anybody, it'll be mainstream media, are not saying this. They're not reminding us that all Israel want back is the hostages. Israel has been told by Yemen, Iran, Houthi, I don't know, Iraq, everybody I can think of, they're going to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Israel is not going to be happy with that, nor would South Africa. We were told that. And that's the reason they took out 5 Hamas leaders in Qatar, which was harboring terrorists. And just the other day, which wasn't on the news at all, in South Africa, 6 Israelis were gunned down in cold blood somewhere in Israel. So let's just remind ourselves that this war is about the hostages. If they release the hostages, the war will end. And it's really not any more complicated than that. But I do think that I would ask mainstream media, SAFM particularly, guys, just remind the listeners that it is about the hostages, and that Israel has said loudly and clearly, release the hostages, and we want to stop the war. Nobody can think a country as small as Israel, as first world as it is, would really, really want to send their people to war to die. I really don't think Israel wants that, and surely nobody would think that either. Bring back the hostages. Thanks so much, John, appreciate it.
Mikey Newlands, let's go to Ntlantla in Pietermaritzburg. What do you have to say this morning?
Yes, man. Good morning. Speaking to Ntlantla here in Pietermaritzburg. I think we have a new problem. I think it's not new. It's old. We need Mkwanazi to sort it out. Human Rights Commission. We need to investigate these guys. Mm-hmm. We can't always have Human Rights Commission coming up to the radio. Not only to the radio, but always they have a statement ready when there is anything that has to do with illegality or criminality in the country. I don't know where does these guys come from. Who are sponsoring them? I think we are sponsoring them because they get money from us, taxpayers. But the way they behave themselves, no, we need to look into them. You know, as the country invaded by illegal immigrants, I think the other problem that we also need to look at is Human Rights Commission. I don't know, and I was waiting for you, John, just to ask more questions, especially real questions. You didn't ask. You were just asking nice questions. You were following what that lady was saying. It is out of order.
So if you see, my worry is, and I'm trying to put this question I've been trying to think of the question since you started talking about it. I don't really have it thought out properly. Do we get rid of human rights if somebody is in the country illegally? Do their rights disappear?
So tell me, let's be fair.
No, it's a yes or no question. If somebody is in the country illegally, do they lose their human rights?
Okay, let's look. We need to use human rights in the right way. So if you have broken, you are a criminal. Your human rights, we are not getting rid of them, but they are limited. For example, you cannot be a criminal and yet you still have a right to go around the streets.
Right.
You're limited. You are now limited. You still have human rights, but they are limited. But these guys, I've never heard them once, John, please. Maybe you can just tell us. Have you heard them saying anything about South Africans' human rights? Never, not even once. Right now, they are ready to take even the MMC of Gauteng to court. Why?
Right.
Because he's busy taking the illegal people there. So I'm not sure. Yes,
Thank you very much. Let's go to, is it Lala in Polokwane? I also want to talk about immigrants.
Good morning, John. I'm really with what has just been said. I think there is a new ministry in our government which is called the Ministry of Illegality or the Ministry of Illegal Immigrants, because the so-called South African Human Rights Commission is all about when people have done wrong. with the people who are law-abiding citizens. They don't care about them. Let me tell you an example of what your guest just said.
Quickly, Lala.
When you were interviewing her. She's speaking about Operation Dudula, stopping the illegal immigrants going into the health facilities. But we have been having a problem in South Africa when the taxi drivers are refusing people to use other cars and all this. The so-called South African Human Rights Commission, they've been very quiet because they don't care about the lives of those who are the South Africans. They are only caring about those who came here illegally and doing the illegal things in the country. So this I agree with that.
Right.
This ministry must be investigated. Thank you very much.
Lala, thank you very much. Eunice in Johannesburg, you want to talk about Mike?
Yeah, I don't know which mic now. It's the case of give a mic, and then you'll hear it all. One from Hillcrest and the other from Newlands. Now I'm confused here. You know what I'm saying? John, the first one from Hillcrest sends the voice message out responding to AB from Durban, and he says, Greta Thunberg's ship was hit by one drone and not two drones. Now he forgot the first drone. And conveniently, may I ask him if he's South African, where's the compassion? Because on that boat was a former ENCA journalist from South Africa, Yusuf Omar, and he took a video and sent it out. So let's be, here's a South African on that ship then, besides all other South Africans who are on other ships. There's about 11 of them on those flotillas there. As far as Mike from Newlands goes, John, has he ever condemned the famine and the starvation what we are seeing in the Gaza Strip? This guy is really confused. He talks of just release the hostages. So what about these thousands and thousands of Palestinians who are incarcerated for years? Children. Never ever did it happen in apartheid, John, that 8- and 9-year-old children in South Africa were tried in military courts, and that happens in Israel. The mere fact that a little child under occupation picks up a stone, he's charged under military court and detained. It never happened during apartheid. No F-16s went into Soweto. No water was cut off. We've seen what we see. And the fact of the matter is Mike from Newlands never ever condemns Israeli atrocities there. As far as Netanyahu goes, this war criminal has got carte blanche since Donald Trump has come into power. And Donald, just Google, John, in 2016, Marco Rubio, when he stood against Donald Trump, he said Donald Trump is a con artist and there'll be chaos if he comes into power. That was in the first election in 2016. And that's actually coming to fruition now. You see what's happening with Donald Trump.
Eunice, thank you very much for your views. Let's go to Rich in Durban.
Hi, John.
Yeah, quickly, Rich.
How's it? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, how's it? Mike from Newlands, I don't know what he drinks or smokes, or people like him. He says to us that nobody can believe that Netanyahu is a bad person. The guy is a monster. The guy is a butcher. So I think they get so immersed in their thinking and their theory that they actually don't see it. Mike needs to wake up. With regards to AB, instead of trying to limit speech from Netanyahu, he should be disappointed with the Gulf states. The Gulf states, Israel knows that they can do anything. The Gulf states will not do anything. And is basically, by attacking Doha, is basically bringing it home. And still, they will not do anything.
All right, Rich. Rich, I need to move on, but thank you very much for your call. Rich in Durban with his views. It's 19 minutes past 8.
Top Sport with Michael Abramson.
Let's talk to our rugby correspondent, Khotso Selo. Let's talk firstly about the team selection. The fact that it was made on a Monday morning, what can we read into that? Because All Black coach Scott Robertson was saying he was very surprised that the Springboks named their side this early.
I think perhaps maybe it's the fact that the Springboks come off a loss, and throughout the week there will be press conferences, and to get the elephant out the room and to avoid speculation, because he usually does do his internal team announcement on a Sunday before before. He thought perhaps let's do it on a Monday to get all the speculation out the way, and then we can focus on the rugby throughout the week, particularly looking at the fact that a lot of these players have not played rugby against the All Blacks in New Zealand.
Top Sport on SAFM. Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's John in for Tulas. Good morning to you. Let's talk to the Tshwane Executive Mayor now, Dr. Nasipi Moya. The Tshwane is launching today a Rising Investment Summit, and also they've announced a 5 billion rand investment drive in its first ever Tshwane Rising Summit, and where they're going to be spending the money. Where does the money come from? Dr. Mayor, where does the money come from, this 5 billion rand portfolio?
Today's investment summit, it does three things in the main. One is just to announce the support that we've put together for investors in the city. Secondly, we're announcing the infrastructure development plans for those who are already in the city developing here and those who are still coming to invest. But thirdly, we are also availing our assets as the city that are lying dormant that we think can support the different sectors that we've identified in our economic revitalization strategy. So what we are looking for today from investors is partnership, and to see how can we work together so that we can reach the 3.9% economic growth that we are targeting by end of 2029.
Why should investors invest or move into Tshwane?
And that's exactly why we're sharing the vision with them, John, that Tshwane is full of possibilities. There's potential in the city. We already have 11 sectors that are in Tshwane that just need support. Hence, we are saying to them, here is the support that we've put together for you. There are plans, even in terms of how we deal with service delivery, how we are dealing with the issues of infrastructure, but also just to cut the red tape that investors always complain about. How we're going to make sure that we have a seamless process that won't frustrate investors. But more than anything, there's a lot of potential in Tshwane. The sectors that we already have, they just need a government that supports them.
When I hear these kind of figures, when I look at billions of rand, 26 billion rand in investment, how do small businesses or developing businesses from the townships get involved in this?
Yeah, so that's a discussion that we are having with anyone who's an investor, that we must also talk about opportunities for SMMEs, but also investment that is not only concentrated in the normal areas, like in our case, your Centurion, Pretoria East, that there are opportunities even in the near the townships of Hammanskraal. There are industrials, there in Garangwa, there are industrials. There is development that's happening in Mamelodi. In fact, it's one of the pledges that we have. It's already happening there. So we are saying when we have a big investor, there are two asks that we have for them. One is that they must empower or help us empower our SMMEs, but secondly, help to create jobs, especially for young people. So as long as we are on the same page in terms of the transformation of economy, because if we're not intentional about this discussion with investors, I don't think we'll be doing justice to the gap that we have in the city, the inequality gap that we have in the city. So that's one of the conversations we're having in each and every sector that we have.
There are issues in Tshwane. The the wastewater treatment issue has been there. There are water issues. Is that part of this 5 billion rand that you're talking about?
Yes. So the 5 billion rand is a target, but as part of the assets that we are putting out for investment, we do have electricity assets, energy. So, for instance, the Rooiwal power station, the Pretoria West power station. But we also have our own sources of water, Rietvlei, where we just need 2 billion rand so that we can reduce our reliance on rainwater. It's one of the assets that we are putting to the private sector for investment. So, yeah, because, we can't talk to investors if we can't talk about energy and water security, but we don't have that financial muscle. So we need to say to investors, are you willing to come on board in terms of helping us get our water and energy security as well?
When South Africa's economy is growing by 0.8% and you come up with this 3.9 average GDP growth that you're aiming for, you know the opposition parties are going to say, this is just electioneering, you got local government elections coming up, and this is all just pie in the sky.
They've already said it, John, but I mean, you can imagine they've said it, but we said, in 2011, this city was growing at 6%. After COVID, it was at 0.3%. We did our consultations even with economists outside the city. And they say, actually, if you do these things right, there is a possibility of you getting, and 3.9% is the midpoint. When you look at our potential as the city, if we do everything right, we can get to 6.8%. I understand that it's against or it's not in line with the national trend. But I mean, as we've shown in Q2 with our job creation, the city of Tshwane went, we had those jobs created, even though nationally there wasn't much happening. So 85% of the jobs that were created in Gauteng in the last quarter, they were created in Tshwane. So there's potential, John. And I mean, I think the other element we always ignore here is the people of Tshwane who just want the city to work. Especially when you already have the assets like showgrounds that were once working and helping to raise revenue, and they haven't been doing so for about 8-10 years now. And so those are the things that we say. Vonnerbom, people will tell you stories about Vonnerbom Airport as an asset that they used to use, and it generated income for the city. And it goes for many assets, including the buildings that we are putting out to the private sector. So what we are saying is that here is what we already have. We don't need to go and start a new thing. We have the assets, we have the people, we have the sectors. Why don't we start where we are? And then we build from there. Fortunately, the interest in the investment summit, we are oversubscribed. And it gives me hope that the investors in Tshwane, they may not be too happy with us, some of them, because of our processes, but they're still willing to give us an ear. Whenever we call them, even when we do the sector-based engagement, they've come, we've engaged with them. So we come here with confidence that they already know what the vision is. They are coming to see how we're going to implement it.
Dr. Nasipi Moyo, Tshwane Executive Mayor. We'll see what comes out of that briefing. It starts in about half an hour from now.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Very good morning. Welcome to it. Let's start with cricket. The Proteas eager to put their bruising ODI loss behind them as they face England tonight in the first of 3 T20 internationals in Cardiff. Captain Aiden Markram says the squad has shaken off the 342-run defeat in Southampton and are focused on the bigger picture, which is next year's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka, with Markram himself fetching 14 million rand at the SA20 auction yesterday. He insists that they are ready to make a statement against the English.
Yeah, always a good team, always. Never going to play against England and it's going to be an easy game, so expecting it to be a really good challenge for us. Again, they've won heaps of white ball tournaments and sort of were the trendsetters at a stage, so looking forward to the series, to facing them and sort of their strengths that they bring to the table and sort of seeing where we are as a team against a really good opposition.
The first ball will be bowled at 7:30 tonight. Now let's go to soccer. Bafana head coach Hugo Bruges aims to secure qualification for the 2026 FIFA World Cup as soon as possible next month and says they're just 3 points away from achieving their big dream. Bruges was speaking after their hard-fought 1-all draw against Nigeria in their 8th qualification match, which placed them 6 points clear at the top, with Benin still having a game in hand. This was only Bafana's second draw in these qualifiers.
If South Africa 2 years ago should have played against Nigeria today, we should have lost. And we knew in the second half that we couldn't win the game by playing football, by fighting. And that is what we tried. We fight as much as our opponents. We were as much physical as our opponents. And I think that the result is the right result. None of the two teams deserve to win. But I think we do the best operation with that point. And now we need one victory. And we have 2 opportunities. So let's try to do it as soon as possible.
That's the Bafana coach Hugo Bruges on the morning brief. Rugby, Springbok assistant coach Dwayne Vermeulen has downplayed concerns about the team's struggles at the breakdown following their loss to the All Blacks at Eden Park. Vermeulen, renowned for his own ruck dominance during his playing days, insists the issue is being exaggerated, saying the Boks' overall game remains the real focus. South Africa face New Zealand again in Wellington on Saturday, with the return of number 8 Jasper Visser adding extra muscle to the pack. And finally, athletics, the World Athletics President Sebastian Coe saying athletes competing at the World Championships in Tokyo will face heat challenges. The 9-day tournament, featuring the world's biggest track and field stars, starts on Saturday. Japan has endured its hottest summer, with temperatures rising above 32 degrees. The opening day will host the 35-kilometer men's and women's race walk and is forecast to be 32 degrees. However, unlike during the pandemic-delayed games in Japan 4 years ago, the marathon and race walk events will remain in Tokyo. And that's your sport on the morning brief. Look out for Jon Gericke around 12:30. More sport on SAFM. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Parliament's ad hoc committee set up to investigate allegations of threats to national security will meet today to get a progress report in preparation for the public hearings. The committee was established following allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, of serious corruption in the criminal justice system. Police are yet to arrest suspects linked to 3 double murders in separate shooting incidents across Kraaifontein in Cape Town. And the M23 rebel group has blamed the DRC government for the deaths of 14 South African soldiers who were part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the region. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Problems just west of Joburg with this protesting in the Westbury nuclear area. There's a lot of diversion pressure through Martindale, Sophia Town. That's the sort of main on Decker's option. And there's a lot more down a little bit further on Fuel Road that links Commando and Perth. So basically from Main Reef Road through to Auckland Park, there's closures there as well. So really from sort of that Newland, Sophia Town nuclear area, Coronationville and down through Langlata, you're either running into closures or running into diversion pressure. So it is just generally very busy through that part of Joburg. Still heavy on the Mike 1 and M2 roads, getting through Crown up to Empire Road, the M2 from Benrose, the Mike 1 from Boyson. So a lot of congestion there. Rivonia Road coming into Sandton through Morningside, pretty big volumes and slow go traffic. William Mandela, Republic Road, Peter Place from the Bryanston Randburg sides in towards Sandton, fairly slow. It is a high volume office day, so that's understandable that you got extra traffic delays on those routes this morning. Over in Durban, a breakdown on the M2 running north at the construction before Gateway. So if you're on your way to the airport, queues back through Kwamashu and back towards Queen Anne Drive. And Cape Town, a little bit of early morning wet weather conditions. It's very overcast, it's a bit damp, and roads are wet after some rain. So everything on a go slow. Give you an idea of that. The N1 coming inbound, queues from Brackenfell all the way through to the city centre. The N2's at Robert Sobukwe inbound. The M5 still at Kenilworth. So plenty of traffic around. And we did report earlier some protesting down in the Eastern Cape on GQ's Uitenhage Road, linking Quebec through to Dispatch at Chatty Dip. That is being cleared and that road is open. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
Telling Lachela for the last time this morning. Local economy growing 0.8%. What does that mean in the markets?
That's right, John, with the local economy showing signs of recovery in the second quarter, growing by 0.8%. Now, this is the strongest quarterly growth in 2 years. The acceleration from the revised 0.1% growth in the first quarter was driven largely by gains in mining, manufacturing, and household spending. The mining sector rebounded, expanding 3.7% after a sharp 4.1% contraction in the first quarter due to increased output in PGMs, gold, and chromium ore. The manufacturing sector also performed well, increasing 1.8%, with 7 out of 10 divisions recording growth. And the agri sector expanded by 2.5%, following an upward revision of first quarter growth. Household final consumption expenditure rose 0.8%, contributing to overall growth. Now, on the downside, gross fixed capital formation declined 1.4%, and investment in other assets fell close to 10%. Now, experts believe that the economy still faces challenges, particularly with the impact of U.S. tariffs expected to become more pronounced in the second half of the year. So yes, a welcome move, but we aren't out of the woods just yet.
An Anglo-American has merged with this Canadian miner. This must be huge.
Yes, big deal and unexpected. The miner announcing a major deal with Canadian copper miner Teck Resources in a $50 billion all-share transaction. The merger will create a mining giant with a top 5 spot among global copper producers. The deal is subject to regulatory approval and expected to take around 18 months to conclude. Now, the merged entity will be headquartered in Canada, with primary listing in London and secondary listings in Johannesburg and Canada. Anglo-American will own just over 62% of the new group, while Teck Resources will own the remaining 37%. Anglo CEO Duncan Wanblad will lead the combined entity, with Teck's Jonathan Price as his deputy. The deal is seen as a strategic move to scale up Anglo's copper output and strengthen its position in the market. The merger also highlights the growing importance of copper in the green energy transition and industry's shifts towards critical minerals. This move comes as Anglo is in the middle of its restructuring efforts, which prioritizes iron ore, crop nutrients, and copper assets. Those efforts, of course, were fired up by that BHP bid from last year and resulted in the group ditching its PGM and coal assets, with further plans to divest from diamonds. Now, markets welcomed the merger, sending Anglo shares 9% higher in yesterday's session.
And what's happening in the markets this morning?
So the JSE likely to start the day in the green following global peers. It's a results-heavy day on the local front, with earnings from Old Mutual, Growth Point, Mete, and Pan-African Resources. Now, Pan-African Resources has already alerted markets that higher gold prices have given it a boost. And talking gold, it's continued to rally this morning, still trading past the 3,600 mark. Sticking with resources, oil is steady, sitting above $66 per barrel. Then over in currency markets, the rand retracing some of its gains at 17.53 to the dollar this hour. Back to equities, stateside, futures are mixed, with traders eyeing inflation data ahead of next week's Fed meeting. And sticking with consumer prices, investors in Asia digesting China's inflation figures, which point to a domestic consumption problem. Despite that, markets still trading in positive territory.
Taolong Lechela, thank you very much. More business with the Taolong tomorrow.
Catch SAFM live on Thursday, 18 September at the TBCSA Tourism Leadership Conference. Conversations shaping the future of tourism. Brought to you by the TBCSA, the leading voice of tourism in South Africa.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Let's take some calls on that number. Let's go to Walter in Midrand. What do you have to say this morning, Walter?
Hey, morning. How are you?
Lekker.
I'm good. Hey, we are having a problem. Criminal records in our country. People are getting criminal records for petty crimes. Like myself, I was detained for jumping a stop sign in Midrand. Then the following day, a magistrate says I have to be released freely. But when I check, I'm having a criminal record. So I'm having a problem on employment now. I had to lose my job because of jumping a stop sign. So should the country run like this, like every small thing, people must get criminal record? And it's not
I know that
only
there's a way.
that.
I know there's ways that you can get that expunged, though. I'm not sure of the details, but I know that you can get those expunged.
But it takes time.
It does. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money.
A lot of years. And even my friend had an issue of a rape accusation. Then he had to pay that lady 10K because she demanded money after a night. Then he's also having same issue with a criminal record because he was detained.
All right, something we'll look into. Walter in Midrand, thank you very much. Let's go to Frank in Rupert. Go ahead, Frank.
Hi, John.
Yep.
Yes, I just want to comment on the South African Human Rights Commission. Well, it seems to me that, the South African Human Rights Commission always comes out when things are, there's tension against foreign nationals. And they never come out when South Africans are being South African human rights, the human rights of South Africans are being violated, and that's a problem. And I think it's about time that we call it out that it's a problem. It always goes on like this, and whenever there's issues that involve South Africans, they are nowhere to be seen. They don't make any comments.
All right, Frank in Rupert, also with his views on the SA Human Rights Commission. Not the only one to be saying that. Let's take some voice notes. We're going to go way back to earlier this morning on 0614 104 107.
Hi, John. Yeah, man, after looking at the G4S findings in the Mangaunge Correctional Services, their contract should be terminated with immediate effect. So, yeah, man, this is shocking news, man. Sharp, John. This is Mr. F in Durban.
Hi, John and your team. I'm going to be unpopular regarding Westbury, John. These people have been voting for PA for years. Nothing happens to them. They just vote based on the fact that the PA is led by a colored person. They don't vote based on service delivery. So it serves them right. Thanks.
Hi, John. Hoping you're well. This is Daniel. John, these anti-corruption ideas or proposals that are actually, we've been told that they're lying on the president's office. Oh, John, these proposals will lie there. Will be on this table forever and ever. As long as President Ramaphosa is still a president, nothing will ever happen. Nothing positive will ever come up. Thanks, John.
Hi, John. Look, John, I heard you talking about another commission such as integrity, blah, 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 being on the way, you see. This is our Ramaphosa again with many commissions that are just squandering the state's money and this commission doing nothing. So why don't we go for another ministry, maybe develop Ministry of Non-Corruption, something like that? Thank you. It's Willie and Kuma.
To be fair, it's not another commission. It's the Office of Public Office of Public Integrity, permanent and independent body to lead South Africa's battle against entrenched corruption, is what the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council are advising the president to do. It's 8:45.
Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Let's talk about addiction now. A big battle across many homes in South Africa. Left helpless as loved ones spiral into dependence of alcohol, drugs, pills, gambling. Dr. Momi Metsing is a senior lecturer and psychologist at UNISA, the Department of Psychology of Education. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us. It's an ongoing battle. Are there ways and means to help people get out of addiction?
Good morning, John, and thank you for having me. Yeah, that's true. Addiction is one of the most pressing challenges in South Africa as it cuts across age and race and all the background. And it really leaves a very deep scars on our families and community. But it's important that we balance honesty and hope because, yes, recovery is possible. The hope and means, yes, there are hopes and means that this thing can be resolved.
The big issue is people who are addicted need to ask for help, or can you help them without them asking for help themselves?
So we need to approach the situation with a greater sensitivity. It is very difficult if you go out to a person and demand that they need to be helped. So even when we go to them, so that we can assist them, we need to be very mindful on how we approach them. And our approach is very, very much important. So yes, to answer your question, it's possible, but it will also depend on how you approach them and how they receive.
We're treating the symptom. We're treating people once they are addicted to a substance. Is enough being done to prevent that from happening at the beginning? Alcohol control, drug control, gambling control.
So we need to look at a few aspects in terms of where it stems from. So we look at the social and the economic roots. There's poverty, there's unemployment, and there's lack of opportunities. But there's also trauma and mental health, which comes with unresolved pain, abuse, violence. So the accessibility of drugs is out there. We know that there's Nyaupe, there's Crystal, and we get this cheap over the counter. So alternatives are very available and affordable. There's peer pressure, there's disconnection, especially among the youth where they belong, they want to belong, and there's a form of identity that plays a very big role. So this addiction doesn't happen really in a vacuum. It's often about pain, lack of opportunity, and social condition that leaves people very, very vulnerable.
There is the embarrassment of having to go to a Narcotics Anonymous or to stand up and say, I am an addict. How does one overcome that?
Okay, that's very important. Because now when we look at them without any judgment, but also understanding, which is very difficult sometimes, there is that understanding for them to be able to open up. So like I said before, how we approach them, how we look at them, not in terms of judgment, but of understanding and say, I hear you, I feel you. But we will be able together to overcome this. It can be done. But it's a very difficult process, and I don't want to undermine it and minimize it. Like I said, it's a very difficult process, but it can be resolved.
It's expensive as well. Doesn't treatment cost a fortune?
It is. It is very expensive because it's a to and fro. So one can go in and then come back again without being assisted. Because this addiction takes time and it becomes the person. The person becomes the addiction. And therefore, when we resolve, try to correct or assist the person, we need to look at the depth of where he started, but also the environment, what contributed to the person going towards the being addicted to the drugs. It is very expensive indeed.
What are the first signs of addiction, Doc? If somebody's worried that maybe somebody is addicted, what are those initial signs that we should be looking out for?
We need to look out for where a person, most of the time, they just want to be alone. But also they change in terms of their personality, in terms of their character. Their judgment is also impacted, but also how they view the world. It's somehow distorted because of the drug addiction. So it would cover the personality, it would cover the intellect, it would also cover how they perceive, but also respond to life and their outlook of life.
We're living in difficult times. People are finding ways out of reality with drink and alcohol. Are things just getting worse and worse?
It is getting worse and worse. But like I said, John, recovery is possible. If everyone put effort into in their sphere of influence, we can get this right. Many South Africans have rebuilt their lives after addiction, and there are good stories of overcoming addiction. Maybe the voices of those stories have not been loud enough. So it is possible. Treatment works if it's combined with support, where we talk about rehab, counseling, and reintegration back into the society without judgment. We can do this. We've got communities and families that are supporting, and that support is very key. But also, we need to also not lose hope, because research in universities, specifically where I am, Department of Psychology, there is hope where we are currently doing research, but also peer education programs and engaged scholarship on how we can assist the communities to get this addiction out of the way.
Dr. Momi Metsing, Senior Lecturer and Psychologist at UNISA, thank you very much. And if you do need help, SADAG is the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. They have a 24/7 helpline for substance abuse. That number 0800 12 13 14. I'll say it again, 0800 12 13 14.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Stays heavy on the western side of Joburg. This is the Westbury protest this morning, closing down the busy Fuel Road, Links Commando through to Perth Road, so the Links Main Reef Road through to Auckland Park. That's all closed, so diverting pressures through Langlata, which is seeing some busy routes and extra volumes this morning. Mike 1 North, M2 West from Benrose into that Mike 1 all the way up to Parktown via Crown, very heavy. A lot of midweek congestion into Sandton, particularly coming off Rivonia Road, from Rivonia down to Morningside. Some very heavy backlogging going on there. Pretoria looks okay today. Durban, a breakdown into North, going into Gateway seems to be the heaviest delay. That broken down vehicle in the roadwork, so pushing back queues towards Queen Nundee Drive. And Cape Town, a high volume Wednesday, plus rain and wet weather conditions, so everything on a go slow. The N1 from Belleville all the way through to city centre stays heavy. The M5 from Kenilworth up through towards the N2 is under pressure. And a breakdown on the R300 northbound at the N1's got you queuing through Brackenfell as you pick up that queue, sort of Bottler Ray Road all the way through towards the N1. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Lina Lakake Tlompokekana, I'm former Mamelodi Sundowns captain. I'm a sports analyst Lago SABC Sport. When I'm home, I try by all means to practice cooking. My favorite home cooked meal, I'll go for pap and masonja because I can prepare that with easy. What do I normally get up to when I get a moment to myself? I would easily, play my guitar. I try to practice a lot of Tracy Chapman. My favorite foreign language is French. Bonjour, comment ça va? So if I didn't play beautiful football, I think I was gonna be a baseball player. What do I like about SABC Sport is the fact that we given an opportunity to educate.
Catch the exciting Diski analysis by Thompo Long Range Kakana on match days live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Morning, John. This is George here from Soweto. John, I just wanted to correct something. In South Africa, we don't have Human Rights Commission. We have Human Wrongs Commission. That's Human Wrongs Commission, not Human Rights, because they're not fighting for the rights of the people, these people. Thank you, John. George from Soweto.
Morning, John. Yes, the answer to your question, does anyone forfeit their rights when they are here illegally? Yes, they forfeit their human rights because, first of all, they are here illegally. They have broken the law. So how can somebody who has broken the law have the rights? What kind of a country is that whereby people will break the law and then the next thing we say they've got rights? You can't have rights while you're breaking the law. Simple as that. That's why this country cannot go forward. It's because of that.
Hey, John, it's Kosnati Mlochwa here in Pumalanga. This Human Rights Commission, it's against the South African Post. The head of research in that office, it's an immigrant. So that's why they keep on defending the immigrants. Thank you, John.
Morning, John, and your guest and SAFM listeners. It's annoying when somebody's come to radio and lie. Where is that law saying illegal foreign must get in health care? This lady must not come on radio and lie, John. Please, man. There's no way they can talk about illegal foreigners because they should be arrested and deported. They're only talking about legal people in South Africa. Mr. Nomlala, thank you.
Morning, John. I've got a quick question for this guy of human rights. It's not a guy, it's a woman. Right, as long as you represent foreigners, then why in their countries, when you are South African illegally, they don't provide you with health care. They deport you immediately. Why is like that? And in this country, they want the foreign nationals to use our own medical facilities. I think we've begun Krugersdorp.
Some of your voice notes. Let's go to calls. Craig in Durban, what do you have to say?
Yeah, morning, John. Yeah, I was just saying that, I mean, we see so much of and hear so much of all the negativity around the country. We were just saying, what about addressing the issue of all the awards, the President's Awards to people, positivity, the people that have done well, saved people, done good in the community and society. That's something we don't see and hear of often.
It's a very good point. And when I've been doing this late night show, and I land up getting into negative John mode every time, instead of trying to find the good news story, it's just so easy to do the negative stories. But yeah, all right.
Yeah,
we'll make a plan. President's Awards. We will make our plans to find some good news stories as well. You don't want to sugarcoat things too much. But you also, you can fit in some balance there, I'm sure. Is it Alba in Sky City? Go ahead, Alba.
How are you, John?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Yes, yesterday they talked about 400. We've got about 400 parties registered in South Africa, and then you find that all those political parties, they've got presidents, and each and every one of them wants to be the president of this country. Now, South African Inc. is a corporation. Obviously, it's a big corporation. In South Africa, we've got small corporations whereby they'll tell you that to become the CEO, you need an MBA. You need a master's in business administration. But what are the criteria of becoming the president? What is it that we want as a country? Whereby we'll say, this kind of a person is more qualified to lead the country, not because any other person who can get people to support his idea can become the president. What qualifications, what is it that you're going to offer to the country?
Well, isn't that the beauty of democracy, that anybody can stand to be the president?
But does that make it to be good?
I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's the beauty of democracy. If it's now up to the electorate, it's up to Alba in Sky City to go, does this guy, is he qualified, or this lady, are they qualified to lead the country? Yes or no? And in your opinion, if they're not, don't vote for them.
But on the other hand, the people who are voting, are these people, do the electorate understand what is the purpose of voting? Because everybody can vote because they have got an idea, but do they understand what is the purpose, you see? Because at the end of the day, political parties sell dreams, sell stories, and people, those of us with limited knowledge, will end up buying stories which are impossible.
So voter education is the important thing here then?
But the IEC is doing nothing in terms of voter education.
Right,
because if the ANC understands that when the electorate is well versed in elections, what is the purpose? They know that they're going to lose power. So it is good for them when people are illiterate when it comes to voting.
All right, Albert in Sky City, do we need to have restrictions on who can run a political party? We've got a couple of minutes to go. Let's play some voice notes.
Respond to Bonakele and your discussion regarding the guy from Mamelodi, the SAPS member. By the way, the contract that Ket Matlala got was supposed to also help with those kind of services like counseling and all of those things. So you can see the effects of corruption.
Morning, John.
This is Mosa from Katuguza. I wish to make just a brief point that state failure and ANC failure does not translate into skin color. It's got nothing to do with race. I thank you, John.
Good morning, John. It's Fogane from Durban. John, you know this thing that's happening in the Middle East. The late president of Libya, the African president, General Gaddafi, did warn the Middle East or the Arabic leaders that no, these guys are not done with Saddam Hussein. They are coming for us. Until they put their own puppet, they are coming for us. That what happened in Qatar is just a mere thing. And you will hear Jewish people claiming, oh, we are victim of Holocaust. If they are victim of Holocaust, are they allowed to bomb anyone because they were victim of Holocaust? Hey, this thing of Holocaust is overrated.
John, yesterday Ntauling spoke about how sunbeds had increase in the revenue. I just wanted to say that that's part of the addiction that we're seeing out there. People are desperate to get a little bit of money somewhere, and that is just proof that, you know, addiction is real. People are addicted to gambling on their phones, and it just causes a lot of problems. That's my take on your addiction story. Thank you. Atam Polokwane.
That's the show. Tulas is back again tomorrow. Thank you very much to Mdu, Tabelo, and Melissa for putting the show together. And Paul pushed the buttons. I'm Jon Gericke. Have yourself a lekker one. Kathy's next.
In our top stories, ad hoc committee to meet over Mkwenazi allegations, and M23 rebel group blames DRC government for South African soldiers' deaths. Good morning. Parliament's ad hoc committee set up to investigate allegations of threats to the country's national security will meet today to get a progress report in preparation for the public hearings. The committee was established following allegations by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Nhlanhla Mkwenazi, of serious corruption in the criminal justice system. In its last meeting, the committee indicated invitations were extended to Mkwenazi, National Police Commissioner Fani Massimo